Chapter 27. At this moment, there was a mansion in the Rock Demon City's Devil Palace. That was the mansion that Moon Demon Monica lived in. Master, weren't you too nice to that Austin just now? He actually dared to speak to you in such a tone. How preposterous. A maid was filled with righteous indignation, feeling unconvinced on behalf of her master, Monica. That man was clearly just a gigolo, yet he dared to speak to his mistress in such a tone. Could it be that this bastard couldn't tell who was the boss? If her master was willing, she could kick this gigolo away at any time and make this bastard lose all his power and wealth. She would let this bastard know what life at the bottom was like. That's right. Master, you shouldn't be so gentle to that Austin. That bastard is simply treating Master as his own servant. He really has no respect for his elders. Austin wasn't so arrogant before. He's really getting more and more arrogant now. I feel that Master still dotes on him too much. It's making him a little lawless. That's right. If we don't control him, who knows what will happen. The numerous maids discussed animatedly, and they expressed that Monica truly pampered Austin too much. That was why Austin was so unbridled and fearless. Those words and that expression just now made them very angry. Indeed, Austin was a little fierce just now. However, I don't know why, but I feel that he's very manly. The fiercer he is, the more I like him. That tone, that attitude, it's really too charming. I've never seen such a charming man. Monica cupped her face with her hands. Her pretty face was red, and she had a look of infatuation. Hearing this, the maids' mouths twitched. They didn't know what to say. They could only say that their master had been completely poisoned by Flower Devil Austin. Otherwise, how could she have lost her rationality like this? That's right. Lord Austin seems to want to complete the Devil Palace's mission. He needs easy and high rewards. You need to work hard to find them. Otherwise, Lord Austin will be angry. Monica immediately remembered the mission Xia Ping had given her just now. She immediately cried out. She was burning with anxiety. He was even more concerned about her own matters. There's no hope. The group of maids were speechless. They originally wanted to persuade her, but now they couldn't say anything. If they continued to persuade her, they were afraid that they would make Monica angry. At that time they would probably be finished. Also, Lord Austin's current strength isn't enough. If he wants to continue increasing his strength, I'm afraid he'll need a large number of treasures. Go to my treasury and take out 9 types of abyssal elixirs and send them to Lord Austin. Let him increase his strength so that he can survive the mission. Monica ordered the maid beside her. Yes, Lady Monica. The group of maids were speechless. They felt that their master Monica was completely done for. She had even given away the treasures in her treasury. It must be known that these treasures were treasures that Monica had accumulated over many years. Some were even supreme treasures that the Night Devil King had gifted to his daughter. They were priceless in the Abyss, and even the Abyss Devil King coveted them. But now it was given to a pretty boy. Was there any justice in this? They didn't know how to describe this kind of behavior, but this was their master Monica's order, and they couldn't disobey it. These maids could only secretly curse that Austin, wanting this hateful pretty boy to quickly disappear and not continue to harm their master Monica. In another place, in the depths of the Rock Demon City's Demon Palace, a dozen or so fiendish demons were gathered in a secret room. Some of them had appeared in that small alley before. What's going on? Didn't you guys say that you've already killed that flower demon Austin personally? And now this bastard has returned to the Demon Palace alive and well? Even Monica is doting on him. What the hell are you guys doing? Can't you guys even do such a small thing? A young demon that looked like a rich young master bellowed out with a malevolent expression. He was extremely infuriated and gritted his teeth. He couldn't wait to eat these demons beside him alive. He was the son of the Rock Demon City's Deputy Hall Master, known as the Six-Armed Lion Demon Chapman. His strength had reached the pinnacle of immemorial ancient state, and his body was emanating a terrifying demonic aura. No one could imagine the rage he was feeling right now. Initially, he had spread the news in the morning that Flower Demon Austin was dead, and many demons had believed it. But now, Flower Demon Austin had come back to life, brimming with energy. Something like this was just like a slap to his face, turning him into the laughingstock of the Demon Palace. They were mocking him for not being able to do such a small thing properly. I'm sorry, Lord Chapman. Last night we confirmed it again and again. Indeed, we thought that Austin was dead and his soul had dissipated. But for some reason he came back alive today. This is unbelievable. That demon also felt that this was too ridiculous. Last night, they had confirmed it again and again that even the King of the Abyss wouldn't be able to save Austin. But what happened this morning was like a slap to their faces, and they were too ashamed to show their faces. Truth be told, when they saw Austin return, it was as though they had seen a ghost. For a few minutes, their minds were blank and they couldn't think of anything. Dead? If he's really dead, what's going on with Austin this morning? Do you guys think that that lad is an imposter? The six-armed lion demon Chapman scoffed coldly. Truth be told, that's what we thought. The few demons braced themselves and said, "Bullshit, you still dare to quibble?" The six-armed lion demon Chapman shouted angrily, "As a member of the Demon Palace, every member's soul aura is connected to the Demon Palace's token. If the other party is an imposter, there's no way he could enter the Demon Palace, and he would be detected instantly. Moreover, Miss Monica is the famous moon demon, and her strength has reached the pinnacle of the archaic realm. Her eyes can see through all illusions. If that lad is an imposter, do you think Miss Monica wouldn't be able to see through it?" It cursed loudly, so much so that its spittle was flying all over the place. In fact, he had suspected that the other party might be an imposter at the beginning. But after thinking about it carefully, the Demon Palace's restrictive formation was very tight, and it wasn't something an ordinary demon could imagine. Even the King of the Abyss couldn't escape the detection of the Demon Palace's restrictive formation, let alone other demons. If the flower demon Austin was really an imposter, he would have been immediately detected the moment he entered. He might even have been killed on the spot and died without a complete corpse. Chapter 27-28. It was also because of this reason that six-armed lion devil Chapman thought that flower devil Austin wasn't dead at all, and that they had made a mistake this time, resulting in a complete failure of the mission. That was why he was so angry. He was simply furious. But if that flower devil Austin really isn't dead, then how did he survive last night? We did check several times, but we didn't find any reason for him to survive. Many fiendish demons were confused. They couldn't understand it no matter how hard they thought. They had clearly confirmed that flower devil Austin was dead, but he still came back alive in the morning. This was like seeing a ghost, and they couldn't understand it no matter how hard they thought. There could only be two reasons for this. Six-armed lion devil Chapman squinted his eyes and revealed a terrifying glint. First, this flower devil Austin has a bloodline ability that allows him to resurrect from the dead. On the surface he was killed by you guys, but in reality he didn't die at all. Instead, this attack triggered his powerful bloodline ability, which allowed him to come back alive. Resurrect from the dead? You must be joking. Is there such a ability in the abyss? Hearing this, all the fiendish demons were completely stunned. They simply couldn't believe it. Of course there is, but you guys are just ignorant. In fact, there is a king in the abyss that has such an ability. He is known as the unkillable Devil King. No matter how many times he dies, he can resurrect from the ashes. Even in the primordial era, such a tragic war couldn't kill him. Six-armed lion devil Chapman sneered. Although I don't want to admit it, this flower devil is probably very special. He might have the same bloodline ability as the Abyss King. As the son of the Vice Palace Master, he naturally knew a lot of information that normal fiendish demons didn't know. No way? If there really is such a divine ability to resurrect from the dead, then who else can kill it? The fiendish demons swallowed their saliva and were simply dumbfounded. Of course it can't be that sick. In fact, this ability also has a weakness, but it's hidden. Our levels are still too low, so it's impossible for us to know such a secret. Six-armed lion devil Chapman said in a deep voice, "Of course I'm just guessing. This doesn't mean that the flower devil really has the same bloodline ability as the Abyss King." Then what's the second possibility? An ancient fiendish demon could not help but ask. That's an illusion. Six-armed devil lion Chapman narrowed his eyes. Clearly, that flower devil Austin might be proficient in an extremely powerful illusion technique. At the crucial moment he made you fall into an illusion silently, making you think that you killed Austin. That's why you came back so quickly and this kid could escape easily. Illusion. Hearing this, many of the fiendish demons could not help but shudder. Indeed, the possibility was very high. If they were hit by the flower devil Austin last night and mistakenly thought that they had killed Austin, the real Austin was not dead at all and was just watching the show from the side. In fact, in the abyss, although there were very few demons who were proficient in illusions, they were not non-existent. This flower demon Austin might be one of them. They all felt that the possibility was very high. That resurrection bloodline ability was too ridiculous. It was simply an ability that did not conform to common sense. It was already amazing for such an abyss demon to appear, and it was impossible for a second one to appear. This was an ability that even the heavens would be jealous of. In other words, We might have fallen into an illusion last night, and we were all played by that flower devil Austin like fools? The group of fiendish demons had gloomy expressions. When they thought of such a possibility, their faces turned a little green. This was simply a great humiliation. They were clearly going to kill this flower devil Austin, but they were played like monkeys by the flower devil Austin. They thought that they were the hunters, but they did not expect to become the prey. How could they accept such humiliation? They were on the verge of going crazy. Lord Chapman, that kid is just an immortal fiendish demon. Is he really proficient in such a powerful illusion technique? To make us, the higher fiendish demons, fall into an illusion and be unable to extricate ourselves? A fiendish demon asked. Although that kid is weak, there are similar mystical items or treasures in the abyss that can make fiendish demons fall into an illusion silently and be unable to extricate themselves. Six-armed lion demon Chapman said in a deep voice, if that kid has such an abyss mystical item, it is not impossible for him to make you fall into an illusion silently. He explained his understanding. I see. Many fiendish demons could not help but nod. They also felt that the possibility was too high. Even if the flower devil Austin was weak, the abyss mystical item could surpass the limits of strength. If they were not careful, even the abyss king would fall into the trap, let alone them. Damnable Austin. He actually dared to play tricks on us like this. He's courting death. I'll definitely skin this bastard alive and tear his tendons out before tearing his corpse into pieces to vent the rage in my heart. A fiendish demon gritted his teeth in anger. He had never been played like this by a puny immortal fiendish demon in his life. This was simply the greatest humiliation of his life. If this matter were to spread, he would become the laughingstock of many higher fiendish demons. But after this kid experienced such an assassination, it will not be so easy to lure him in the next time. I'm afraid it will be even more difficult than before. Yeah, if he continues to stay in the fiendish demon palace, we will not be able to do anything to him. If he never leaves, it will be even more difficult for us to take revenge. Many fiendish demons clenched their fists, their faces extremely ugly. Don't worry, I have already received the news. I don't know what happened to that kid, but he actually wants to participate in the mission issued by the Fiendish Demon Palace in an attempt to raise his rank in the Fiendish Demon Palace. Six-armed lion demon Chapman narrowed his eyes. This way he will have to leave the Fiendish Demon Palace in order to complete the mission. At that time, we will secretly follow him or directly participate in the same mission as him. Then that kid will be dead for sure. I will also personally take part in this operation. We must put that kid to death. What? Many fiendish demons were shocked. They completely did not expect six-armed lion demon Chapman to personally take part in this operation. One could imagine how much hatred this flower devil Austin had aroused. When the time comes, get ready. This time there must be no mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. Otherwise don't blame me for being merciless. Six-armed lion demon Chapman was filled with killing intent. Yes. Many fiendish demons nodded solemnly. Chapter 27-29. Noon of the second day. Monica arrived as promised. She looked at Xia Ping with an infatuated expression. She blushed and said, Lord Austin, last night I ordered my subordinates to find more than 80 quests of various sizes. Which one would you like to take? What mission? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He looked at the dark gold cards in Monica's hand. The contents of the missions were depicted on them. These were the unique mission cards of the Monster Demon Palace. However, these mission cards could only be obtained by accepting the mission. However, what kind of mission was Monica? She used her influence to directly intercept all of these missions and then let Xia Ping slowly choose from them. After Xia Ping finished choosing, these missions would be handed over to the other demons. This was the evil power of the world. If the other fiendish demons in the Fiendish Demon Palace knew about this, they would probably be envious and jealous. Their hatred for Xia Ping would probably rise to another level. Interesting. Xia Ping scanned them with his divine sense and immediately knew the contents of these missions. To be honest, most of the missions in the Devil Demon Palace were to hunt down fiendish demons. This was because the Monster Demon Palace was actually a law enforcement organization that spanned across the entire abyss. They were responsible for supervising the various kingdoms and maintaining the law and order of the various kingdoms. However, as demons of the abyss, they were all fierce and cruel. They were born brutal and filled with the desire to kill at all times. This originated from the instincts of demons. It was simply a fantasy to use a piece of law to restrain these abyssal demons. Even under the suppression of the Monster Demon Palace and the kings of the abyss, most of the demons of the abyss already obeyed the law and would not kill the innocent. However, there were still a small number of demons who could not control their impulses and caused terrible massacres everywhere, resulting in countless deaths and injuries. This kind of behavior violated the laws of the abyss and would be directly punished. Of course, ordinary demons could be dealt with by the guards of the various kingdoms. However, there were also some terrifying demons that required the elites of the Monster Demon Palace to deal with. Obviously, these missions were issued by the various kingdoms because they could not deal with them and were handed over to the Monster Demon Palace. However, apart from these missions, there were also many special missions. For example, exploring the Abyss Mystic Realm. In fact, even the demons of the Abyss did not have a 100% understanding of the vast abyss. There were still many powerful and dangerous mystic realms. Even abyssal monarchs wouldn't dare to casually enter a secret realm like this. Therefore, those higher demons would issue these exploration tasks, hoping that other demons would help them explore. Of course, since this kind of mission was extremely dangerous and had a slim chance of survival, the rewards were also quite shocking. Many fiendish demons were willing to take the risk. In addition to exploring the secret realm, there were also some tasks that surprised Xia Ping, and that was being a spy. This kind of mission seemed to require some loyal and devoted demons to go through the training of the Demon Palace. Then, they would silently sneak into the modern universe and become spies of the abyss. Such a spy would also be hidden for a long time and would only be exposed at a critical moment. Interesting. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He didn't expect the Monster Demon Palace to issue such a mission so brazenly. It was as if they were saying that they had planted many spies in the modern universe. However, if he thought about it carefully, the Devil Demon Palace's behavior was actually very normal. After all, this place was the deepest part of the abyss. It was impossible for all living beings in the universe to enter. Otherwise, they would be quickly corroded by the power of the abyss and become abyssal creatures. Therefore, of course, they had nothing to fear and were not afraid that their information would be leaked. It could be imagined that the abyss demons had probably infiltrated the modern universe for many years. It was unknown how many eras it had gone through and how many spies had been planted. They had prepared such a plan for the next war. Once a war broke out, it would definitely cause great damage to all the races in the universe. Thinking of this, Xia Ping felt that the abyss demons were even more terrifying. This race had prepared for such a long time. Once a war broke out, the scale and destructive power would probably not be comparable to that of the immemorial era. Lord Austin, which mission do you want to take? Monica looked at Xia Ping and asked. This mission. Upon hearing this, Xia Ping casually pointed at one of the mission cards. Kill the Sand Demon. Monica's beautiful eyes lit up when she saw this mission card. Lord Austin, this mission is not simple. The Sand Demon is a famous fiendish demon. It has been on the run for more than 100 years. In these 100 years, it has committed many evil deeds. It has destroyed more than a dozen cities and slaughtered all the fiendish demons in a small city each time. It is extremely cruel. It is a major criminal and can be executed on the spot without a trial. This Sand Demon was addicted to blood and slaughtered for a living. Its combat strength was extremely strong, and its whereabouts were also extremely secretive. The Devil Demon Palace had once sent an elite team to chase after this demon, but it had escaped and even killed a few of them. According to the information, this demon's strength has probably reached the near ancient realm. She knew that the Sand Demon's strength was not simple and its combat power was outstanding. And Austin was only an undying demon. If he took this mission, it was not important if he failed. He was afraid that he would be killed by the Sand Demon. That would be too unjust. What? Are you worried that I am not a match for this Sand Demon? Xia Ping glanced at her. To be honest, he wanted to take on more difficult missions. However, his current identity was only an undying demon. His rank in the Monster Demon Palace was very low and he could not take on more difficult missions. The mission to kill the Sand Demon was the one with the best rewards. Once he completed it, his authority and status in the Devil Demon Palace would rise to a higher level. Of course, he was not afraid of exposing his true strength. Because with the power of the true demon god, even if he exposed his strength that far exceeded the undying realm, other fiendish demons would only think that he had hidden his strength before. He would not be suspected of being replaced by other fiendish demons. This was the terrifying power of the true demon god. It could twist anything that did not make sense into something reasonable. Other life forms would not feel the slightest bit strange. That was why he was so fearless. He wanted to become a top member of the Monster Demon Palace as soon as possible and obtain high authority in the Monster Demon Palace so that he could obtain important information. Hearing this, Monica immediately shook her head. No. Of course I am not worried that you are not a match for the Sand Demon. I am just worried that there might be some accidents. She looked at Xiaoping anxiously. Chapter 27:30. It's good that you're not worried. It's just a mere sand demon. I can kill it with a wave of my hand. It's not worth mentioning. That's it. Women, don't make irresponsible remarks when I do things. Just watch obediently, got it? Xiaoping said domineeringly with his hands behind his back. Yes, I got it. Even though his tone was domineering, Monica looked like she was enjoying it. Her face was flushed red as she nodded her head vigorously. She looked at Xiaoping with an even more infatuated look. Her face was flushed red as she screamed in her heart. Ah, Lord Austin is too domineering. Too charming. No wonder he's the man I've fallen for. He's too charming. Seeing this, the surrounding maids were speechless. They did not know what to say. After all, they did not share the same emotions as Monica. They all felt that this flower devil Austin had gone completely mad. He was clearly only at the sempiternal realm, and yet he dared to accept this mission to hunt down a near ancient realm sand demon. Was this gigolo tired of living too long? Was he courting death? But this was good too. If the sand demon killed Austin, Lady Monica would be able to return to her original state. She would not be toyed with by this bastard Austin. Right, Lord Austin? Even though I can't interfere with your mission, I still have many treasures on me. I can give them to you. I believe they'll be of great help to you in killing the sand demon. Suddenly, Monica seemed to have thought of something. She waved her hand and took out 9 treasures. Each of the abyss treasures exuded an extraordinary aura. Oh my God, that's the nightmare vine. The group of maids could not help but widen their eyes in disbelief. That was because each of the abyss treasures was priceless. They were the type that could not be bought with money. Abyss treasure nightmare vine. This was an extremely terrifying plant that came from the depths of the abyss. It could kill demons like flies. It could grow billions of roots that were indestructible and possessed the power of immortality. Once one was entangled by the nightmare vine, it would automatically release nightmare demonic chi. The prey that was caught would instantly fall into a nightmare and fall into a deep sleep. Following that, the nightmare vine would devour the sleeping prey and turn them into nourishment for its growth. It was unknown how many demons had died in the hands of the nightmare vine in the abyss. However, the nightmare vine was also a top-notch pet. Once the soul of the nightmare vine was refined, the nightmare vine would become its most loyal guard. It would then be able to control the nightmare vine to kill many demons. If it was attacked, the nightmare vine would even protect its host. It could be said that this was a top-notch treasure. Countless demons wanted to get their hands on a nightmare vine because it was a treasure for both offense and defense. The Night Devil King had plucked it from an abyss secret realm for his daughter, giving it to his daughter Monica to protect herself. But now, Lady Monica actually wanted to gift the nightmare vine to this gigolo. If this was a joke, then it would be a huge joke. If the other fiendish demons knew about this, they would probably be so jealous that their intestines would turn green. To be honest, they also knew that Austin was doted on, but they didn't expect him to be doted on to this extent by Lady Monica. She was even willing to take out such a treasure. This is the ice thorn demonic fruit. One of the maids screamed again. She saw the second treasure. It was a snow-white crystal-like fruit. There were dense demonic thorns growing on its surface. To be honest, although this treasure wasn't as famous as the nightmare vine, it was also a top-notch life-saving treasure. This fruit was condensed by the famous Ice Thorn Devil King. If this Ice Thorn demonic fruit was thrown out, it would immediately explode all the power of the Ice Thorn demonic fruit. The power of this Ice Thorn demonic fruit was also extremely terrifying. Once it exploded, it would burst out billions of demonic thorns. These thorns had indestructible power. Even the laws of space and time couldn't defend against them. They could also shatter space barriers and easily penetrate the bodies of many ancient demons. If these thorns hit an enemy, they could instantly freeze the enemy into an ice sculpture. The terrifying cold aura would instantly shatter the enemy's soul. It could be said that this was an extremely lethal one-time use treasure. If he encountered any danger, he could throw this ice thorn demonic fruit and instantly kill the enemy. To be honest, the sand demon was very terrifying. However, if he was hit by this ice thorn demonic fruit, he would probably be in trouble. He would instantly be frozen and die without a complete corpse. Abyss demon treasure, shadow boots. Another maid sucked in a breath of cold air and was extremely shocked. When they saw this pair of treasured boots, they were also dumbstruck and almost went crazy. This was another precious treasure that Lord Night Devil King gifted to Lord Monica. It was said that this pair of boots was made from 108 types of precious abyss materials. It was engraved with all sorts of law patterns personally drawn by the Night Devil King. It contained the laws of darkness, shadow, and so on. If one wore this pair of boots, they would immediately obtain the power of shadow. Once they used the power of shadow, they would be able to silently blend into the depths of the void and turn into a shadow. They would be formless and could easily escape. Most of the power would be unable to attack the body. Without a doubt, if one wore this pair of boots, their life-saving ability would increase by 10 times. As long as they were willing, they would be able to escape no matter how great the danger was. Originally, the Night Devil King had gifted it to Lady Monica for the sake of his daughter's safety. Now he had actually gifted it to this gigolo, Austin. This was simply crazy. To be honest, not to mention the other male demons, even the maidservants were extremely jealous. Why was this gigolo so doted on by Lady Monica to the extent that she was willing to gift him such a treasure? Other than these 3 treasures, the other 6 treasures were also incredible. If they were taken out, they would definitely cause many demons in the Hall of Monsters and Demons to fight over them. Seeing these treasures, even Xia Ping, who had extremely sharp eyes, could tell that the abyss treasures that Monica had taken out were very unusual. They were the kind that even the ancient sages would drool over. One could totally imagine how rich Monica was. At the same time, he was also very speechless. Was this the benefit of being a gigolo? As long as he hugged the thighs of a rich woman, he probably wouldn't have to worry for the rest of his life. He didn't even need to work hard as everything was prepared. It was no wonder that when the other demons saw this situation, they couldn't wait to kill this gigolo, Austin. Any demon who saw this scene would probably feel very unbalanced. Envy, jealousy, and hatred were not enough to describe the feelings of those demons. Chapter 27:31. That's too much. Am I the kind of man that even the sand demon can't deal with in your eyes? Do I need you to humiliate me with these so-called treasures? Xia Ping widened his eyes and stared at Monica. This. Hearing this, Monica immediately panicked. No. I didn't mean that. But if Lord Austin isn't happy about it, I'll take it back. She was a little worried that Xia Ping would get angry. It seemed that her flattery had gone too far. That's enough. Xia Ping waved his hand and said casually, although I don't really want these things, this is your kind intention. How can I reject it? Remember, don't do it again. With a wave of his hand, he kept all the treasures into his pouch. He didn't leave a single one behind. His movements were extremely quick and practiced. I understand. Monica's pretty face was bright red as she nodded vigorously. When the maids at the side heard this, their mouths twitched. If it wasn't for the fact that Lord Monica was still at the side, they would definitely rush up and hammer this pretentious gigolo to death. He was clearly dizzy from Lord Monica's gift and couldn't contain his joy, yet he was still putting on an act and saying that he wasn't the kind of person who coveted gifts. If he really wasn't that kind of person, then he shouldn't have accepted it. However, this gigolo whose skin was thicker than the city wall had actually accepted the gift just like that. Not only had he accepted all the treasures and obtained all the benefits, but he had also made Lord Monica feel that she owed this gigolo. She felt extremely guilty. This gigolo really had a wishful thinking. Not only did he take all the benefits, but he also had to let others owe him a favor. They had never seen such a thick-skinned person before. They grimaced and wanted to hammer this shameless gigolo to death. By the way, do you know where the sand demon is? Xia Ping asked. I know. I've already mobilized all the intelligence networks and found where the sand demon is. It said that it's hidden in a crouching bull mountain range 10 light-years away. Monica nodded. However, the Crouching Ox Mountains cover a very large area. There are lofty mountains everywhere, and the terrain is extremely complicated. Moreover, the sand demon is skilled in hiding, so we don't know its exact location for now. It was precisely because the sand demon was good at concealment that it could turn into sand at any time and silently blend into the earth. Even demons that were stronger than the sand demon would not be able to track it down. That was why it had been able to roam freely for 100 years and commit countless crimes, but it had never been killed or captured by the demons of the Devil Demon Palace. In the Crouching Ox Mountain range? Enough, I'll be back soon. I'll kill this sand demon and prepare a sumptuous dinner for you tonight. Xia Ping nodded, expressing his understanding. He had the Golden Crow's eyes of hell, which could see through all illusions. Even a god's restriction couldn't stop him. A mere sand demon wanted to hide from his eyes? That was simply a fool's dream. As long as he knew the exact location of the sand devil would definitely die. Alright, I understand. Monica was extremely tempted. She discovered that the man she liked was just too domineering. He had clearly not even started fighting, but he had already treated the sand demon like a dead person. The female attendants on the side could not stand it anymore. Right now, they almost lost control of their urge to hammer the pretty boy to death. Fuck, would this bastard die if he didn't pretend to be something? The sand demon was an old demon that had committed countless crimes. It was also a demon from ancient times, so its ability to hide was extremely great. Even if the demons from the Middle Ages encountered the sand demon, they might not be able to kill it. However, this pretty boy was clearly only an immortal demon. Let alone whether they could find him or not. Even if they really did find him, he would probably be hammered to death by the sand demon. With this bit of strength, he would just be sending himself to death. However, this pretty boy still did not know this. He was actually pointing out the situation here, saying that he would kill the sand demon tonight and come back, so he asked Madame Monica to prepare dinner for him. They had never seen a pretty boy who liked to pretend so much. It was a little unbearable for them. Probably only Madame Monica would believe such ridiculous words from this pretty boy. Xia Ping did not care about the expressions of the other female attendants. He walked out of the mansion. With a flash of his body, he quickly disappeared in front of the many fiendish demons and left the Devil Demon Palace. The news of Xia Ping leaving the Devil Demon Palace quickly spread to the ears of the fiendish demons. After all, Xia Ping had no intention of hiding his intentions when he made his move this time. What? Austin left the Devil Demon Palace? How could he be so fast? What did he go to do? Some fiendish demons were shocked when they heard the news. Because according to their thoughts, this kid should not dare to leave the Devil Demon Palace for a short period of time after he was assassinated. However, only a few days had passed and this kid actually dared to leave the Devil Demon Palace. Such audacity. Could it be that he was not afraid of encountering the next assassination attempt? I heard that the kid seemed to have gotten rid of Madame Monica and found some missions. He is planning to leave the Devil Demon Palace to complete the missions. I'm afraid he is chasing after some wanted criminals of the Devil Demon Palace. A fiendish demon said in a deep voice. What an arrogant bastard. He simply has no demons in his eyes. He is looking down on demons. He clearly knows that there are other fiendish demons chasing after him, but he still dares to appear. He really doesn't know how to write the word death. Some of the fiendish demons gritted their teeth in anger. They felt that they had been completely underestimated by Austin. They were fooled by this bastard previously and might have fallen into his illusion. Now he still dared to leave the Devil Demon Palace so brazenly. Obviously, the assassination attempt last time was nothing to this kid. It was just a game. That was why he was so arrogant. However, when they thought of this, they felt even more sullen. They had painstakingly prepared a plan for such a long time, but it was easily destroyed by this pretty boy. Even a pig would not be able to tolerate such a thing. It's good that this kid is arrogant. The six-armed lion demon Chapman rushed over at this moment. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. Initially, I couldn't find any opportunity to deal with him. I didn't expect him to come to me voluntarily. Since that's the case, I will send him to hell today. He clenched his fists and his murderous aura surged. He did not hide the murderous intent in the depths of his heart. This time he was going to take action personally. This operation would definitely be foolproof. No matter what kind of illusion that kid was proficient in, it was nothing in front of absolute power. Let's go. We must set up an inescapable trap this time. We definitely won't give him any chance to leave alive. We will bury him outside the Devil Demon Palace. The six-armed lion demon Chapman said in a deep voice. Yes. Hearing this, the other fiendish demons nodded. This time they must take revenge and teach that kid a lesson. They must let that bastard know that the Devil Demon Palace was not a place for a pretty boy like him. Chapter 2732. Swish. At this moment, Xia Ping left the Demon Divine Hall and the Rock Demon City. He immediately used teleportation and crossed through space, arriving near the Crouching Dragon Mountains in an instant. In reality, after obtaining Austin's memories, he had gained a certain level of understanding towards the abyss. In particular, Austin knew the geography near the Rock Demon City like the back of his hand. He did not need to look at a map at all. He could cross tens of thousands of kilometers with a single teleportation. According to the information, the wanted sand demon is here. But this mountain range seems to be very vast, so it's no wonder that no demonic demons can find it. Xia Ping stood in the air and looked at the surrounding mountain range. It was a huge mountain range that rose and fell. 100,000 mountains stood in the middle, one after another. They stretched endlessly and the terrain was extremely complicated. Moreover, every single mountain seemed to contain special ores and powers that could block the senses of demonic souls. Even if regular demonic demons hid in the mountain range, they would probably struggle to find them. Searching for demonic demons here was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Not to mention the sand demon was a demon condensed from sand. It could gather and disperse its body at will, so it could easily merge with the ground and turn into sand. How could a demon like that be found so easily? Who knew how many demonic demons had searched the Crouching Dragon Mountains in the past, but they had all returned empty-handed. Golden Crow of Hell, 9 heavens and 10 lands, show yourselves. Xia Ping used his Golden Crow of Hell's eyes, and the 2 eyes immediately began to revolve slowly. They enveloped a range of several tens of thousands of light years in an instant, like a 3-dimensional image. Millions of streaks of golden light pierced through space like lasers. They pierced through space and permeated every corner, searching for demonic demons everywhere. Within his range of vision, the auras of demonic demons immediately appeared. They seemed to be the demonic demons hidden in the Crouching Dragon Mountains. In reality, the sand demon was not the only demonic demons in the mountain range. There were many other demonic demons that lived here as well. As a result, with the interference of the auras, it became even more difficult to find the sand demon. The search this time took a whole hour. Boom. At this moment, Xia Ping seemed to have sensed an unusual demonic aura on an ordinary piece of soil in a certain valley. It was extremely frightening. Although the gravel on the soil looked similar to other gravel, under the gaze of the Golden Crow's hell eye, there was no place for it to hide. He could see the tyrannical demonic soul energy of the other party. Without a doubt, the fiendish demon hiding in this place must be the wanted sand demon. This sand demon's strength had also reached the pinnacle of the near-ancient realm, which was almost exactly as described in the report. In fact, its strength was even more terrifying than what the report had said. Clearly, the fiendish demons chasing after the sand devil had still underestimated it. After this period of killing and devouring the power of many fiendish demons, the strength of the sand devil had greatly improved compared to before. In fact, the fastest way for fiendish demons to improve their strength was through slaughter. By devouring the origin energy of other fiendish demons, they could quickly strengthen their own origin energy. This also meant that they didn't need to cultivate at all. Just killing was enough. However, ever since the fiendish demon palace had set a rule that they couldn't kill the innocent, they couldn't do this anymore. They could only devour the abyss demon chi obediently and cultivate. The problem was that many fiendish demons were already used to such cultivation methods. How could they stand such restrictions? Naturally, they fought back. They even secretly committed many crimes and killed many fiendish demons. This also allowed their strength to improve rapidly. So, it's hiding in this place. Since I've found its real body, things will be easy. Xia Ping smiled. Without a doubt, with such an aura and a near-ancient realm cultivation, other than the sand demon on the wanted list, there couldn't be any other person. One had to admit that the sand demon's hiding ability was really strong. It could merge its body into the ground and turn into grains of gravel, blending into nature without making a sound. In this way, who could find the sand demon's real body? Even if one passed by the sand demon dozens of times, it would still be difficult to find it. Luckily, he had the Golden Crow's hell eye. No matter how strong the sand demon's hiding ability was, it couldn't hide from him. Whoosh! In the next second, his figure flashed. In an instant, he arrived at the top of a hill near the valley and looked down from above. At this moment, the sand demon hiding here naturally sensed the aura coming from Xia Ping. However, it still didn't move, thinking that Xia Ping was just a fiendish demon that happened to be passing by. In fact, such things would happen occasionally. However, these fiendish demons would only stay in this place for a short period of time before leaving quickly. It was impossible for them to notice its existence. To be honest, at this moment, its heart was a little restless. Its killing intent was rising. Because in its perception, there were no other fiendish demons within a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers apart from this brat. Moreover, this brat was at most an immortal realm fiendish demon. If it was fast enough, it could kill this immortal realm fiendish demon in an instant. From there, it could devour the fiendish demon source of its life and death to strengthen its own strength. Vaguely, the countless grains of gravel on the ground seemed to be gathering together under the influence of the will of the desert. When the brat was careless, it would strike with a fatal blow. Domain of flowers, coma. In an instant, Xia Ping looked down from above. Without saying anything to the sand demon, he slapped the void with his palm. Boom! In an instant, with his body as the center, the area within a radius of tens of millions of kilometers was enveloped by the domain of flowers. The surrounding space-time was filled with a pervasive fragrance. This fragrance permeated the space-time and even the soul. It was everywhere. What's going on? Why is this place suddenly so fragrant? Damn it, my consciousness seems to be blurring? The sand demon, who was originally planning to deal a fatal blow to Xia Ping, did not know why, but at this moment, it felt like its body was surrounded by an omnipresent fragrance. After smelling this fragrance, it immediately felt dizzy. It was as though it was about to faint. Its soul seemed to be dragged into a world of flowers. No, I have to wake up. I can't fall asleep. As a sand demon, it instinctively warned itself that it was in mortal danger. However, it was of no use. The omnipresent fragrance had long seeped into its soul. Dong. In the next second, the figure of the sand demon immediately appeared from the ground. It lay on the ground and started snoring. Even if there were thunder and lightning, it would not wake up. Chapter 2733. Whoosh. At this moment, a fiendish demon appeared on the ground. It was 20 meters tall and was made of yellow sand. It had a nose, mouth, ears, hands, and feet. This was the famous sand demon. Even though it was unconscious, one could still feel the terrifying aura of death and heat emanating from the sand demon's body. It seemed that wherever it appeared, it would take away all life and water. In fact, even where it was hiding, the water in the surroundings would gradually be absorbed and evaporated by it. Over time, it would become desertified. Therefore, the sand demon would not hide for too long. After all, if it was too long, the place where it was hiding would definitely change and be discovered by other fiendish demons. As expected, the flower demon bloodline is indeed unusual. It's just a small test and I managed to capture this ferocious, evil, and extremely powerful sand demon so easily. Xia Ping stood on the spot and rubbed his chin. The sand devil had fallen into a deep slumber after being hit by Lin Li's flower domain. Perhaps the sand devil didn't even know that it had been captured. He had only used a portion of its power just now, and the sand demon that had been hiding from the Hall of Monsters and Demons for hundreds of years had fallen into his hands just like that. The battle had not even started. If other fiendish demons were to see this scene, they would be so shocked that they could not close their mouths. After all, the sand demon was a famous desert in the abyss. Its bloodline's magical powers were plunder, death, and devour. It was simply famous and was known as the god of death in the desert. Moreover, its elemental transformation ability gave it extremely strong life-saving abilities. Even if ordinary fiendish demons were stronger than it, they would not be able to kill it. But now he had been captured by Xia Ping without a sound. It was really shocking. Of course, this was the supreme power of illusion. Even if it was a head-on battle, it would be able to suppress people of the same cultivation level. If it was a sneak attack, it would be even more powerful. There were not many people in the world who could resist it. This power of controlling smell can still be improved and excavated more space. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He suddenly thought of Monica's behavior. He guessed that the reason why Monica was so infatuated with him at this moment, aside from the fact that she was a perverted woman herself, it also had an inseparable relationship with the explosive power of his scent. This was because this kind of smell could increase the favorability of others. If one already had a favorable impression of them, then it could increase their favorability at a geometrical speed, almost reaching the maximum level. Just as Xia Ping was about to bring the sand demon back, he lifted his head and immediately sensed the presence of more than 20 strong demonic auras from all directions. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, 20 fiendish demons appeared around Xia Ping. Their strength was at least at the Middle Ancient Realm. In fact, there were even 3 immemorial Ancient Realm fiendish demons. These tyrannical demons were scattered all over the place. Their auras merged with each other, forming a restrictive array formation that enveloped the void, sealing off time and space from all directions. Under the effect of such a restrictive power, even ancient fiendish demons would not be able to escape from the seal of this restrictive array. At this moment, the area within a radius of millions of kilometers had become an absolute cage space. Six-armed lion demon Chapman? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and looked at the leading ancient fiendish demon. According to Austin's memories, this lad was one of Monica's fanatical pursuers. He seemed to be Austin's nemesis. Austin had encountered this six-armed lion demon Chapman several times in the past. Moreover, he had been secretly warned that if he continued to get close to Monica, he would definitely be in trouble. Combining what had happened previously and the murderous intent emanating from the six-armed lion demon Chapman, he reckoned that the real Austin's death had something to do with this lad. Apart from the six-armed lion demon Chapman, there were also 5 or 6 middle ancient fiendish demons that Xia Ping had seen in the alley. They were the murderers of Austin a few days ago. At this moment, These fiendish demons had gathered here and surrounded him completely. From the murderous intent emanating from them, it was obvious that they were here to kill him. Austin. The six-armed lion demon Chapman squinted his eyes and looked at the unconscious sand demon on the ground. Then he looked at Xia Ping and said, "It seems like all the fiendish demons in the Rock Demon City, including me, have completely underestimated you. The infamous wanted criminal, Sand Devil, who had already reached the pinnacle of the Middle Ages, was actually defeated by you so easily. Your strength is far beyond our imagination. You really hit it well." Its face was gloomy. Even though it already knew that this lad was a cunning person who pretended to be weak, it was still infuriated to the point that it felt a stabbing pain in its lungs when it witnessed this scene. It was precisely because of its momentary mistake that it had embarrassed itself so much. Whenever it thought of this, it wished that it could tear this lad into pieces. "Austin, you lad, how dare you trick us?" One of the fiendish demons bellowed and glared at Xia Ping in anger. Seeing the infamous sand demon being subdued so easily by this lad in front of them and the strength that he had displayed was far beyond their imagination, how could they not know that they had indeed been fooled the previous time? With such a strong illusory power, how could he be killed so easily by them? Thinking of this, all of them were filled with grief and indignation as if they had been fooled. They simply wished that they could tear this lad into pieces in order to wash away this humiliation. Previously in the alley, you actually pretended to be so weak and let us kill you so easily. Turns out that everything was just an illusion. Seems like everything has been explained clearly. You bastard knew about the assassination long ago, but you purposely fell into our trap with the purpose of fooling us. You obviously have such a strong illusory power, but you still pretended to be a gigolo here. You're a trash that lives off a woman. What are you trying to do, bastard? Your acting is really realistic. The screams when you die, the begging before you die, and the life and death battle during the battle. Even we, the old and cunning fiendish demons, were fooled by it. How many people has this bastard fooled? Do you take pleasure in fooling other fiendish demons? Many fiendish demons gritted their teeth and glared at Xia Ping angrily. They had been in the abyss for so many years, but they had never suffered such humiliation. This was the first time. Especially when they recalled that after they killed this lad, they left in high spirits and announced it to everyone. They did not expect to be slapped in the face the next morning. This made them feel even more aggrieved. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. He was a little confused, not knowing what these fiendish demons were talking about. Chapter 2734. However, what kind of person was Xia Ping? He didn't understand at first, but when he saw the expressions of the demons and thought of what happened earlier, he immediately understood. These demons probably didn't know how Austin was resurrected, so they started to imagine that they were under an illusion and thought that Austin was dead. That was why they had such a misunderstanding. And these demons also saw the famous sand demon get killed by him, so they naturally suspected that they were pretending to be weak to eat the tiger. When they thought of this, they became even more furious. They simply wanted to tear Xia Ping into pieces. "Why are you so angry? You should be glad." Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "Last time I used a small trick to make you fall into an illusion and unable to escape, but I didn't kill you. You should be grateful. However, I spared your lives, but you don't know how to be grateful. You actually dared to bring so many demons here. Seems like you really think your lives are too long." "Bullshit." One of the fiendish demons roared angrily, "You're just a scum who knows how to use illusions, a bastard who hides in the dark to launch sneak attacks. How dare you say something like that? Are you being merciful? You don't even have the confidence to fight us head-on, that's why you use such a sneak attack. If we really fight, I can crush you with one hand." "That's right. You're just a little flower demon, a gigolo who only knows how to live off a woman. How dare you speak to us so loudly? You really don't know how to write the word death. Let me tell you the truth. We've mobilized a lot of people to come here today and sealed off the void in all directions. No matter what kind of trick you use, you won't be able to leave this place today. Just accept your death. Even if all the demons descend, they won't be able to save you now." All the demons glared at Xia Ping with murderous intent. "Austin, go to hell." At this moment, the six-armed devil lion Kidman let out a furious roar. It couldn't take it anymore. The killing intent on its body had almost reached the peak, to the extent that it could shake the void. Bloodline Mystique Six-Armed Demon Fist. In the blink of an eye, the 6 arms of the six-armed devil lion Chapman blasted out at the same time. It seemed like every hand was forming a seal. This was the supreme demonic seal from the abyss, and it possessed unparalleled destructive power. On its back, the 6 arms were constantly moving, seemingly ever-changing, turning into hundreds and thousands of illusory arms. It was as if it had transformed into the thousand-armed Buddha. An extremely terrifying aura burst forth from the body of the six-armed lion devil Chapman. It was as if he had activated the terrifying energy of the abyss origin, forming a tide. Quick retreat. We can't get close to Lord Chapman. Seeing this, many of the fiendish demons were astounded. They knew that this was one of the strongest bloodline skills of the six-armed demonic lion tribe. These six arms could unleash supreme demonic seals and draw upon the power of the abyss origin. They were ever-changing and could increase the strength of one's body by more than 10 times. Each arm was a peak expert. One arm controlled wind, one arm controlled fire, one arm controlled time, one arm restricted space, and so on. It was as if these demonic seals were suppressing time and space in all directions, causing it to come to a standstill. Then, hundreds and thousands of arms slammed down. It was the power of hundreds and thousands of people attacking at the same time. Then, the power gathered together and could even destroy the void. When the six-armed lion devil unleashed this bloodline mystique, it was as if he had fought everywhere and killed countless fiendish demons. This was also the reason why the six-armed lion devil was known for its prowess. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could also feel how powerful the six-armed lion devil Chapman was. When all six arms were unleashed, they seemed to have restricted time, space, wind, fire, water, earth, and so on. This punch had the power to shatter the void. Moreover, the strength of the six-armed lion devil Chapman had reached the peak of the primordial era. He had completely comprehended the laws of creation and was just a step away from advancing to the primordial era realm. One could imagine how powerful the six-armed lion devil Chapman was. He could definitely be considered as a peak expert of the Devil Demon Palace in the Rock Demon City. Flower domain, flower petals scatter. However, Xiaoping was neither happy nor sad. He didn't unleash the power of his main body. He merely used the power of the flower demon. After all, this was the territory of the fiendish demons from the abyss. Many experts were constantly paying attention to this place. If he exposed something that surpassed the power of the flower demon, it would probably arouse the suspicion of the kings of the abyss. No matter how weak it was, he had to isolate the possibility of exposure. Of course, the most important reason was that the bloodline power of the flower demon was more than enough to deal with the six-armed lion devil Chapman. He had long been in an invincible position. Whoosh, in an instant, the domain of transformation on his body was shrouded in a radius of 10 million kilometers. Thousands of red petals appeared on the ground. They emitted a fragrant scent that permeated the space. And every petal was an avatar of Xiaoping. They were illusory and real, real and fake. At this moment, it seemed to have become a domain world between the illusory and the real. Dong. In the next second, the six-armed lion devil Chapman's fist blasted over. It landed on Xiaoping's body and instantly shattered his body. Unfortunately, this was just his flower avatar. Even if this punch was extremely powerful, it could only shatter a dozen of his flower avatars. This was the second usage of the domain of flowers. It could create countless avatars that were illusory and real. Ordinary demons couldn't see through his real body at all and could come and go as they pleased. Damn it. The six-armed lion devil Chapman's eyes were almost spewing fire. He was furious. He was confident that his punch would win, but it only landed on this kid's avatar. This made him feel sullen, as if he had punched cotton. Such a powerful avatar technique. Many demons widened their eyes in shock. This was the first time they saw the flower demon using his full strength. Just a single blow had shocked them. He was definitely one of the top experts in the abyss. Even they could feel the fatal pressure and aura. Six-armed lion devil Chapman, you really don't know what's good for you. I didn't attack you just now because I wanted to avoid some trouble. That's why I let you live until now. Now you actually dare to attack me. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Xiaoping's voice spread in all directions and reverberated back and forth. However, many demons still couldn't tell where Xiaoping's real body was. Austin, how dare you show off in front of me with such insignificant tricks? What nonsense avatar. Let me shatter all of you with one punch. Let's see where you can hide then. The six-armed lion devil Chapman was even more furious. Chapter 2735. Bloodline Divine Ability, Immemorial Demonic Lion Roar. In an instant, the six-armed devil lion Chapman stood on the ground and roused the huge amount of abyssal power within his body. His six arms dangled on the ground, seemingly forming a hexagonal frame. His body breathed in and out, and a huge amount of abyssal power was rapidly brewing. It seemed to form a terrifying vortex in the depths of his dantian before bursting out. Roar! In an instant, a terrifying demonic lion roar burst out of his body and seemed to form frightening sound waves. They condensed into substance and permeated the void, causing ripples to appear in the surrounding spacetime. The surrounding fiendish demons were all aghast. They could feel the terrifying sound wave energy erupting from the six-armed lion devil Chapman's body. If they were hit by this lion devil roar, not only their bodies but even their souls would be shattered. This was the frightening power of the six-armed devil lion Chapman. In the abyss, good-for-nothing children couldn't show their faces. Strength was what mattered. If they weren't strong enough, even their parents would abandon these weak descendants. They would never admit that they were weak. This was the cruelty of the abyss. And the six-armed devil lion Chapman was one of the most outstanding descendants. His strength was obvious to all in the monster palace, otherwise he wouldn't have been followed by so many monsters. Just this demonic lion roar wasn't something an ordinary ancient sage could compare to. Sound wave power? Seeing the six-armed devil lion Chapman using his bloodline divine ability, Xia Ping chuckled. This was really showing off in front of Confucius, showing off in front of Guan Yu, and he actually dared to use a sound wave divine ability in front of him. He was simply courting death. If he burst out with his true strength, he might be able to instantly kill the six-armed devil lion Chapman. But even if he used the power of the flower demon, he could easily deal with this monster. Flower domain, cherry blossoms, myriad swords returned to origin. Xia Ping stood in place. Rumble, at that moment the entire world changed drastically. It was enveloped in a boundless flower domain. Countless cherry blossom petals fell from the sky. They were pink and extremely beautiful, exuding the aura of spring. What? However, many of the fiendish demons felt their hair stand on end. They could completely feel the beauty of this flower domain. They could only feel the endless killing intent from the falling petals. It seemed as though every single petal contained an extremely terrifying sword energy. The sword energy of the cherry blossom was filled with boundless killing intent. It contained the power of the laws of karma, life and death, spacetime, destruction, vibration, destruction, and many others. It was as if one's soul would immediately be destroyed if one was struck by the sword. However, countless cherry blossom petals rained down from the sky. They were countless terrifying sword auras. Such sword auras were enough to shatter everything. Bang bang bang. However, they did not have the time to react at all. Countless petals fell from the sky like a violent storm, bombarding the six-armed lion demon Chapman's body. In the blink of an eye, the terrifying primordial demonic lion roar was torn to pieces by the hundreds of millions of cherry blossom sword chi. The surrounding space shattered like glass and turned into powder. Damn it! The six-armed lion devil Chapman's expression changed drastically. He discovered that the sword chi that was as dazzling as cherry blossoms was incomparably terrifying. It was everywhere and indestructible. If it were to land on his body, it would probably turn into powder. Abyssal superpower, thousand-armed lion demonic palm. He let out a loud roar and his six arms danced wildly. They seemed to have turned into a circle. In an instant, they seemed to have transformed into hundreds and thousands of hands, forming a unique chi circle. This chi circle enveloped his huge body, leaving no gaps. This was the six-armed lion demon's defensive ultimate skill. Once it was performed, it would be independent of time and space. It was simply invulnerable. Dong dong dong. Immediately, hundreds of millions of cherry blossom sword chi bombarded down like raindrops. All of them bombarded the six-armed lion demon Chapman's body, exploding with terrifying sword chi prowess. The ground he was standing on was completely unable to withstand such terrifying destructive power. In an instant, a crater that was millions of kilometers deep was shaken out. Cracking sounds rang out, gravel flew in all directions and cracks spread out. Meanwhile, the chi circle that the six-armed lion demon Chapman had unleashed was hit to the point where cracks appeared. Bang bang sounds rang out and countless fine cracks appeared. At the same time, his vital energy and blood were boiling, almost unable to withstand it. It was as if his skin had been shaken to the point where countless bloody scars had appeared. Even though he had barely withstood it, his internal organs had been severely injured. It can't be right? How can Austin's strength be so terrifying? An ancient demon was dumbfounded. Xia Ping's performance had totally changed his view of the world. To be honest, if they had known that this lad's strength was so terrifying, they wouldn't have offended him. Damn that Austin. He's too despicable. To think that he had been pretending to be weak all along. If we hadn't chased him, we wouldn't have known that he had hidden his strength so deeply. What realm is he at? Is he at the middle ancient or immemorial ancient realm? The other ancient fiendish demon gnashed his teeth. He could even beat Chapman up to this state. Without a doubt, he must be an immemorial ancient realm demon. Damn him. He's clearly an ancient demon, but he still pretended to be an immortal demon. Why is he hiding his strength? What is he plotting? We have to capture him and interrogate him to find out his intentions and background. Many abyss demons gritted their teeth. They felt that they had been completely fooled by this lad. This lad had hidden his strength too deeply. It was the kind that was unfathomable. At the same time, an even stronger killing intent surged in their hearts. They had offended such a terrifying demon. If they didn't get rid of him now, they would be in deep trouble in the future. This time they were the ones ganging up on this lad. Next time it would probably be this lad ganging up on them. No matter what, they had to grab hold of this opportunity to kill this lad and bury him here. Oh no, Lord Chapman is in danger. Suddenly, an ancient demon's hair stood up. He seemed to have sensed that Chapman was in great danger. He wanted to help, but it was too late. Under the gazes of all the abyssal demons, the countless cherry blossom sword energies fell. After a dozen rounds of attacks, they completely shattered the defense of the six-armed lion devil Chapman and shattered the chi sphere on his body. However, before the six-armed lion demon Chapman could do anything to defend himself, Xia Ping approached Chapman silently. His body merged into the void and surpassed the speed of light. Bastard! The six-armed lion demon's hair stood up. He felt a fatal danger. This was the life and death of an ancient pinnacle demon. He couldn't help but roar. All the muscles in his body swelled up and his strength multiplied. Chapter 2736. At this moment, the six-armed lion demon Chapman was giving it his all. It was as though he had cast the Skyfiend burning blood technique. Even his soul power was ignited in order to fight to the death with Xia Ping. At such a critical juncture, he couldn't say anything. He could only fight to the death and defeat this terrifying flower demon. It's too late to struggle. With a swoosh, Xia Ping arrived in front of the six-armed lion devil Chapman silently. He looked at Chapman indifferently and pointed his finger at Chapman's forehead. Supreme Mystique, Indra Finger. This finger contained the power of the law of karma and the law of life and death. Its power was boundlessly terrifying and could destroy time and space. No mystique or mystique could measure the power of this finger. This finger seemed to contain the power of the god of the underworld. It was also because of this terrifying power of death that the six-armed lion demon Chapman was so terrified. He instantly cast the Skyfiend burning blood technique in order to survive. The problem was that even though he knew this, he couldn't dodge or block it. This was a sure kill attack. Dong. This finger tapped on Chapman's forehead lightly. The terrifying power of the law of karma and the law of life and death immediately caused Chapman's body to explode. No. The six-armed lion demon Chapman let out a shrill scream. His eyes were filled with terror, fear, regret, begging for mercy, unwillingness and other emotions. He was already extremely regretful. If he had known that this flower demon was so terrifying, he wouldn't have dared to provoke it. Wasn't he courting his own death? However, it was too late for him to know this. There was no medicine for regret now. Boom. In an instant, the power of Indra's finger completely exploded, and in the next second, the six-armed lion demon Chapman's body and soul exploded from the finger, turning into powder and disappearing into void space. At the same time, this finger also broke all the karma of the six-armed lion demon Chapman. It shattered the scene of time and space. Even if an invincible saint came to investigate, he wouldn't be able to find the cause of his death. It was as though the six-armed lion demon Chapman had vanished in this abyss. Lord Chapman? Many abyssal demons widened their eyes and couldn't help but scream. Even though abyssal demons were heartless creatures, they knew what it meant to grieve when the rabbit died. When they saw Chapman die tragically in the hands of this flower devil, they couldn't help but be filled with boundless rage. Damn you, Austin. You actually dared to kill Lord Chapman. You're courting death. Kill this kid and avenge Lord Chapman. Attack together. Surround him. Don't give him any chance to escape. Many abyssal demons were seething with killing intent. They had already decided to use all their strength to swarm up and tear this brat to pieces. They would definitely not give Xia Ping any chance to escape. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In just an instant, these abyssal demons attacked from all directions. Abyssal domains erupted from their bodies at the same time. Or perhaps it was the domain of darkness. It was as if it had plundered all light, absorbed all sound and swallowed everything. Or perhaps it was the domain of flames. It It was filled with terrifying abyssal demon flames that could burn everything. Any living creature that entered it would be swallowed up by the abyssal demon flames and turned into ashes. Or perhaps it was the domain of ice. Strong winds howled and snow swirled. The temperature was extremely low, as though it had reached the realm of absolute zero. Cold air filled the air and froze time and space. The might of these demon domains was extremely terrifying. As they came crashing down one after another, even the six-armed lion demon Chapman wouldn't be able to withstand it. He would be killed instantly and dismembered. This was the terrifying might of dozens of abyssal demons joining forces at the same time. It was enough to crush any ancient demon. The might that erupted from them was even more terrifying. You've already stepped into my domain. Go back to sleep. Xiaoping stood on the spot and looked at these abyssal demons calmly. Boom. In an instant, the flower domain on his body erupted. It was extremely terrifying and powerful. It completely replaced the domains of these abyssal demons and enveloped the space and time in all directions. The radius of 10 million kilometers instantly turned into a world of flowers. It was filled with an enchanting fragrance. This fragrance permeated every corner of these abyssal demons' bodies and even their souls. Oh no, why did the power in my body suddenly disappear? Many abyssal demons' expressions changed and they panicked. They suddenly discovered that they had lost all their strength. It was as though all their divine abilities had disappeared. They couldn't use any abyssal divine ability. If they didn't have abyssal divine abilities and abyssal demonic power, they would simply be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. How could they contend against this terrifying flower devil Austin? How could such a ridiculous thing happen? What a joke. Why did it disappear? It's very simple. Because you've already fallen into my illusion. Xiaoping faintly smiled and looked at these abyssal demons. With a snap of his fingers, countless cherry blossoms danced in the air and merged into the bodies of these abyssal demons. With a plop, these abyssal demons simply didn't know what was happening. They were like pieces of wood. They fainted on the ground and started snoring. Some of the abyssal demons were even snoring peacefully, as though they were having a good dream. As expected of the flower devil's bloodline power. This ability to control scent and cast illusions is silent and almost invincible. Xiaoping instantly sighed. Originally, dealing with these abyssal demons would require a lot of effort. After all, if the situation was not good, these abyssal demons might flee. Or they might even be reduced to nothing. There would always be a few of these demons that managed to escape and some would escape. Or even if they didn't escape, if they fought to the death with him and self-destructed their bodies, it would cause a lot of trouble. However, with the flower domain and the scent illusion art, these abyss demons could be subdued in an instant. No matter how powerful they were, they couldn't resist the unconscious aura. Moreover, because of the smell, they were unable to detect anything, and possessed an extremely strong concealment ability. It could be said that if this bloodline mystic ability was developed, its power would be extraordinary. While Allah thinking of this, Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately captured the dozens of unconscious abyssal demons on the ground, including the six-armed lion devil Chapman. He planned to throw them all to the world tree and let it devour the corpses of these abyssal demons. He believed that the energy contained in these abyssal demons would definitely benefit the world tree greatly. It might even allow the world tree to grow further. Chapter 2737. Half an hour later. Xiaoping returned to the Devil Demon Palace in the Rock Demon City with the corpse of a sand demon in his hand. He had already killed the sand demon with his own hands. Originally, he planned to let the Tree of World devour the sand demon. However, if he wanted to complete the mission, he would need the corpse of the sand demon as a verification item. Otherwise, it would not be considered a success. At this time, he carried the corpse of the sand demon to the mission hall to submit the mission. What? You killed the sand demon with your own hands? In the mission hall, many supervisors and other fiendish demons who came to accept the mission were shocked when they heard the news. They looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. In their eyes, this kid was just a toy boy. His strength was only at the immortal realm. How could he have killed the sand demon that had reached the peak of the ancient peak? If this kid really dared to find trouble with the sand demon, he would be courting death. He would be killed by the sand demon at any time. He might even die without a complete corpse. The problem was that the infamous, vicious, and cruel sand demon had actually died in the hands of this kid, and even his corpse had been brought back by this kid. That's right. It's just a sand demon. I can kill it easily. That's nothing. I don't know what those fiendish demons who chased after the sand demon did. I can't believe they were killed by the sand demon. What a joke. The quality of the fiendish demons in the Devil Demon Palace is getting worse and worse. All kinds of people can join us. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back with a calm look on his face. What? Hearing these words, many fiendish demons were so angry that their noses became a little crooked. Their bodies were trembling a little. They wanted to punch this kid in the nose. It was just killing a sand demon. What was he doing here? How dare he look down on fiendish demons? How dare he open his mouth here? To be honest, other fiendish demons could say such words. Only a toy boy who lived off a woman was not qualified to say such words. They had never seen such a shameless guy. He had only completed a small task, but he was already so cocky. They wanted to beat this brat up. However, this kid had indeed completed his mission. Even if they wanted to say something to refute him, there was nothing they could do. They could only feel extremely sullen in their hearts. Supervisor, what's wrong? Hurry up and accept the mission. What are you dawdling here for? Believe it or not, I will report you. I will say that you have nothing to do all day and are here to make up the numbers. Do you know how many demons can take your place? Xia Ping shouted. Fuck, this bastard was already thinking of going to the heavens. The faces of the demon supervisors of the mission hall turned green with anger. They almost couldn't control their urge to hammer this bastard to death. If it wasn't for the fact that this kid had Lady Monica's support, they would definitely make things difficult for him until he died. However, humans had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves, even if they were magical beasts. Now that this bastard had Lady Monica backing him up, there was nothing they could do no matter how angry they were. One by one, the demon supervisors stepped forward and used many spells to verify. They came to the conclusion that this sand demon was indeed a wanted demon and was killed by this kid. Lord Austin, we have completed the verification. Your mission has indeed been completed. You can now receive the reward for this mission. At the same time, Lord Austin will also be promoted by one level in the demon hall. One of the demon supervisors said helplessly. It had originally wanted to find out if there was anything fishy going on. Once it discovered any flaws, even if this brat had Lady Monica's support, it would still make this brat suffer. However, there was nothing fishy. If he dared to not handle this fairly, he would be the one to suffer. He could only let this kid pass. That's good. Don't dawdle all day. Don't do it again. Otherwise, I will complain about you again, Xia Ping scolded, then turned around and left. This bastard. Seeing Xia Ping's figure leave, the group of demon supervisors could not help but turn green. It was the first time they had been so vexed. Previously they had been mocking and looking down on this demon gigolo. But now this gigolo had become arrogant and even dared to point at them. They could not wait to tear this kid apart. Why is this Austin so arrogant? Didn't he just suck up to Lady Monica? Without Lady Monica's protection, this pretty boy is just a fart. Anyone can crush him. That's right. He even said he wanted to complain about us. Look at that arrogant face of his. He's like a fox exploiting the tiger's might. I really want to beat him up. Why hasn't the previous rumor come true yet? Didn't they say that some demons wanted to kill him for a long time? Why haven't they succeeded yet? This is too infuriating. Sigh, good demons don't live long while bad demons live for tens of thousands of years. This pretty boy has ruined the reputation of our demon hall. He's clearly not that capable, but he's talking big. The group of demons clenched their teeth in anger. They had never suffered such humiliation in their lives. Right, that kid is only an immortal demon. Logically speaking, he should not be able to kill a sand demon that reached the peak of the Near Ancient Era. How did Austin complete the mission? It doesn't make sense. Some demons could not understand. Because the sand demon was a famous and vicious demon. Many demons from the Near Ancient Era and even the Middle Ancient Era had tried to kill the sand demon, but to no avail. Either they could not find it or they could not defeat it. Anyway, the mission was very troublesome and the rewards kept increasing. But now Austin had actually completed it. This really shocked them. Indeed. I was also confused just now. I thought that the kid found other strong demons or even Lady Monica for help. But after checking a few times, it was all done by the kid. The other fiendish demon was also a little confused. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't understand why such a thing would happen. Could it be that the kid is actually very capable when he's pretending to be weak? Some demons made their guesses. Bullshit. He's just a pretty boy. How capable can he be? That's right. He's just a flower demon. If I let him advance to the Near Ancient Era or Middle Ancient Era, he won't be a match for me. That's right. His bloodline has already determined his future. And if he's really capable, would he live off a woman? Would he still be a pretty boy? That's impossible. Many demons laughed coldly. They were willing to believe that this pretty boy was an expert. They might as well believe that pigs could climb trees. What a joke. Chapter 2738. Actually, I might know what's going on. At this moment, a crow demon suddenly spoke up. Oh, what's going on? Hurry up and tell us. All the fiendish demons looked over curiously at the crow demon. That's what I heard as well. The crow demon said mysteriously, I have a friend whose relative's younger sister works in this gigolo's mansion. She saw that Lady Monica was very attentive to this gigolo's mission and seemed to have given him many treasures. Treasures? What kind of treasures are they? A fiendish demon asked impatiently. I'm not too sure what the treasures are exactly, but I heard that there are 7 or 8 of them. One of them is called the Nightmare Vine. There's also a one-time use killing fruit, ice spike demonic fruit. There's even an abyss demonic treasure, shadow boots, etc. The crow demon spilled everything he knew in one go. Fuck, a top-grade protective treasure of the abyss, Nightmare Vine. A fiendish demon's eyes widened. It said that this plant is a powerful plant that can only be born in the deepest parts of the abyss. It has an immortal body and can regenerate continuously. If he could refine a Nightmare Vine and turn it into his protective treasure, it would be equivalent to having an extra life as well as the most powerful fighter. No wonder this gigolo was able to kill the famous sand demon. I'm afraid after he refined the Nightmare Vine, he controlled it to kill the sand demon. He was so jealous that his intestines turned green. Perhaps the Nightmare Vine alone isn't enough. After all, the sand demon is extremely cunning. If it sees that the situation is bad, it can escape in an instant. In the past, some ancient fiendish demons tried to capture it, but the sand demon escaped in the same way. Another fiendish demon said, but if there's an ice spike demonic fruit, the situation will be different. If this ice spike demonic fruit is thrown out, it can instantly freeze time and space in all directions. No matter how cunning the sand demon is, it will be hard for it to escape the freezing power of the ice spike demonic fruit. It can freeze its gravel body in an instant. It voiced its conjecture. And then there's the Umbra boots. That's a famous treasure in the dark abyss. Once you wear it, you can blend into the shadows. It's a first-rate treasure for escaping. It said that even ancient demons would have a hard time killing an immortal demon with the Umbra boots on. Another demon revealed his own rumor. My God, just how good is Lady Monica to this gigolo? She's even willing to give such a treasure to him. Isn't that too unfair? That's right. Just what kind of magic potion did that brat feed Lady Monica? Why is she treating him so well? We've worked so hard and risked our lives to complete the mission and receive the reward. But this kid, after receiving some treasures from Lady Monica, he easily completed the mission. I can't accept it. To think that this pretty boy was acting all high and mighty and boasting shamelessly. He said that our monstrous demon palace is a mix of fish and dragons, and that he can only be so arrogant because of the treasure that Lady Monica gave him. If it wasn't for Lady Monica's help, this kid would have been killed by the sand demons long ago. Damn pretty boy. He only knows how to rely on the power of a woman. Without Lady Monica's help, let's see how long he can be so arrogant. Just you wait. This pretty boy's good days will come to an end soon. If Lady Monica hates this kid, this bastard will definitely die a horrible death. So many treasures actually fell into the hands of this pretty boy. That's such a waste. Many demons gritted their teeth. They were so jealous that their intestines turned green. They were so jealous of Xia Ping's experience. No words could describe their feelings at the moment. They worked so hard to get those treasures, but now this pretty boy got them just by sucking up to a woman. This was too unfair. They couldn't accept it. But no matter how unhappy they were, they couldn't do anything about it. However, the image and legend of Xia Ping living off a woman spread more and more loudly in the Devil Demon Palace. It also spread more and more widely, almost to the extent that everyone knew about it. A few days later, in a mansion in the monstrous demon palace. That was where the Rock Demon City's monstrous demon palace's vice palace lord, nine-armed lion demon Gentutin, resided. He was a terrifying Archean peak demon, and his strength was comparable to Monica's. At the same time, he was also the father of six-armed lion demon Chapman. At this moment, dozens of Chapman's loyal subordinates were summoned to the mansion. They were lying on the ground in fear, panicking and extremely flustered. Tell me what's going on. Where's my son Chapman? Where did he go? Why hasn't he shown up until now? Nine-armed lion demon Gentutin sat on top and looked down. His body emitted a suffocating and terrifying pressure that suppressed the spacetime in all directions. It seemed like the entire mansion was enveloped by his world domain. It was completely isolated from the spacetime in the outside world. No power could invade this world domain. Vaguely, the center of this world domain seemed to be supported by 9 arms. They were like 9 pillars of the world, emitting boundless power that made people tremble in fear. Lord Gentutin, we don't know. We really don't know. We only know that Lord Chapman brought a dozen elite subordinates and left the monstrous demon palace to kill Flower Devil Austin. However, there hasn't been any news since they left. We tried to investigate, but we didn't find any clues. That's right, Lord Gentutin. We're innocent. We're really innocent. This matter really has nothing to do with us. If something happened to Lord Chapman, it definitely has nothing to do with us. It definitely has something to do with Flower Devil Austin. If someone wants to cause trouble, they should be looking for that kid. Lord Gentutin, please investigate clearly. We're all innocent. We're all loyal subordinates of Lord Chapman. We're definitely not disloyal. One by one, the monstrous demons knelt on the ground and kowtowed. They were terrified and trembled all over. Austin, are you talking about that little girl Monica's boy toy? That pretty boy wants to kill my son Chapman? Do you think I'm senile? 9-armed lion demon Gentutin snorted coldly. His murderous aura suddenly erupted. Boom. Immediately, the dozens of monstrous demons kneeling on the ground felt a terrifying pressure. It was as if a world was crushing down on them. Their bodies were pressed to the ground, instantly shattering the floorboards. At the same time, their bodies couldn't withstand such a terrifying pressure. They immediately suffered internal injuries and couldn't help but spit out blood. Dense cracks appeared on the ground like a spider web. Cracking sounds could be heard as gravel flew in all directions. Chapter 2739. Spare me, Lord Gentutin, spare me. This matter has nothing to do with us. If something really happened to Lord Chapman, it must have something to do with that flower demon. That's right, let's capture that flower demon and interrogate him. That brat definitely knows where Lord Chapman and the other demons went. Apart from him, I don't think any other demon knows. Lord Gunadutin, we're all loyal and devoted people. We're not disloyal at all. The abyssal demons knelt on the ground and continuously kowtowed, begging for mercy. At the same time, they wanted to make the trouble seem like it was all the flower demon's fault and had nothing to do with them. Flower demon Austin. The 9-armed lion devil Gentutin's eyes flashed with a cold light and killing intent. In reality, he wasn't stupid. He naturally knew that this matter had something to do with the flower demon. It was even possible that his son Chapman's death was caused by that flower demon Austin. Otherwise, how could his son Chapman disappear without a trace? If it was possible, it simply wished for nothing more than to personally make a move and capture Austin. However, he thought of Monica, the daughter of the Night Devil King. At the same time, she was also the Vice Palace Lord of the Rock Demon City's Devil Palace. Whether it was strength or status, she was not below him. If he captured that flower demon Austin for no reason, he would definitely be retaliated. He had to consider Monica's feelings and act cautiously. After all, if he offended Monica, he would also be in big trouble. Lord Gentutin. At this time, one of his trusted subordinates said, "Actually, there's no need to rush this matter. Lord Monica can protect him for a while, but she can't protect him forever. Even if we can't make a move against that brat in the Devil Palace, that doesn't mean we can't make a move outside. Moreover, once we capture that brat, even if we kill him, I believe Lord Monica won't become enemies with us. However, if Lord Gentutin makes a move in front of everyone, it's the same as slapping Lord Monica's face. Even if Lord Monica isn't willing, she will still become enemies with Lord Gentutin. Gentutin, please be careful." He had clearly analyzed the pros and cons of this matter. Monica. Hearing this, Gentutin narrowed his eyes and retracted his killing intent. Although he was furious, he wasn't a fool. Even if it wasn't afraid of Monica, it couldn't help but respect the Night Devil King behind Monica. If it offended its immediate superior, it might not be able to bear the consequences. "Alright, I'll spare that brat's life for now. If I ever get the chance, I'll definitely skin him alive," Gentutin said coldly. The entire mansion was filled with a terrifying killing intent. At this moment in Xiaoping's mansion. At this time, one of his clones stayed in the quiet room, while his real body returned to the world of the classic of mountains and seas to cultivate in seclusion. The reason why he chose to cultivate in seclusion was that he had gained insight into illusion techniques from the bloodline of the flower demon. Deep in his heart, he was greatly touched and reached the opportunity to advance to the next realm of illusion techniques. The mysteries of illusion techniques are the senses of smell, hearing, touch, sight, taste, and the sixth sense. These six senses form the perception and description of the outside world. If I can control these six senses, then I can control this life. Xia Ping sat cross-legged on the ground. With the comprehension of the bloodline of the flower demon, he had completely comprehended the mysteries of the sense of smell and understood how to use smell to control and confuse life. As the saying went, one thing made everything clear. With the comprehension of the sense of smell, he also comprehended the remaining phi senses one by one. At this moment he seemed to have comprehended the supreme principle of illusion techniques, controlling the six senses. Dong. In the blink of an eye, Xia Ping's body shook. His sea of consciousness caused the void to tremble. With his body as the center, waves of soul fluctuations spread out in all directions, covering a radius of hundreds of thousands of light years. One illusory world after another descended. In the end, a total of 10 illusory worlds appeared, shrouding each area with Xia Ping's body as the center. These illusion worlds also had different forms. Whether it was life, history, or personality, they were all completely different. They descended into this world with extreme realism. Initially, it was extremely difficult to create such a realistic illusion world. Now, 10 such realistic-looking illusion worlds were created in an instant. This was simply unheard of. Without a doubt, Xia Ping had reached the realm of an illusion grandmaster. He had finally broken through from the perfect realm of one thought one world to the grandmaster realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. At this level of illusion techniques, the number of life forms in the universe could be counted on one's fingers. I finally advanced to the realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. At this moment Xia Ping was extremely excited. Previously he had obtained the soul secret technique, Zhuangzhou's dream butterfly, which allowed him to advance to the perfect realm of one thought one world. At this moment he had obtained the bloodline of the flower demon and gained insight into the mysteries of controlling the six senses. This allowed him to comprehend by analogy and break through in one fell swoop, advancing to the supreme realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. Of course, this realm was also divided into the early, middle, late, and perfect realm. At the early realm, one would be able to construct 10 illusion worlds with a single thought. At the middle realm, one would be able to construct 100 illusion worlds. At the late realm, one would be able to construct 1,000 illusion worlds. Once it reached perfection, one would be able to construct 10,000 illusory worlds. Of course, the so-called 10,000 was just an imaginary number. Depending on the soul energy of the cultivator, some sages could easily construct hundreds of thousands of illusory worlds, layer upon layer. This was different from an individual's ability. This realm was the limit of illusion techniques. Could even deceive the gods. This is too wonderful. Is this how I construct illusions? Xia Ping sat cross-legged on the ground. After breaking through to the supreme realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds, he now felt that constructing an illusion was extremely easy. Originally, when he constructed an illusion world, he would need to think about many details and try his best to restore the details to the greatest extent to prevent other sages from noticing any flaws. However, it was different now. After comprehending the six senses, he realized that what he had done previously was simply a waste of effort. No matter how meticulous it was, there would still be a moment when there would be a flaw. No matter how perfect it was, there would always be a flaw. Even the gods would be negligent. His pursuit of perfection in the details of the illusion world was simply putting the cart before the horse. However, it was different if he were to deceive the six senses of life. By forcefully changing the perception of the other party, even if they knew that this world was unreal, they would subconsciously believe that it was real. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2740. Of course, this ability to blind and distort the six senses wasn't as sick as the true demonic god's ability to forcefully reverse reality and change cause and effect. It could only change one's perception. In reality, once one reached the level of the true demonic god, it wouldn't be as simple as just illusions. At the very least, one would have to reach the third level of illusions to create something out of nothing. However, even an invincible sage wouldn't be able to reach such a level. This was already the level of gods. Due to his understanding of illusions, Xia Ping finally broke through his limits and reached the unparalleled level of world giving birth to a single thought. He was able to easily create many illusory secret realms. Even an ancient sage wouldn't be able to escape from an illusory world like this. Xia Ping was extremely excited. He knew that this was a technique of multiple illusory worlds. Even if an ancient sage could break through an illusory world, there would still be another illusory world within. Break through one and another, and such illusory worlds were stacked on top of each other, countless and endless. If one could reach the full mastery level of world giving birth to a single thought, even an invincible sage would go crazy and wouldn't be able to escape from such illusory worlds. Of course, even if an invincible sage could break through so many illusory worlds, they would probably only be able to wake up from such illusions after billions of eras. He could make use of the power of illusions to seal demigods one after another and trap them in an eternal illusory maze, unable to escape. Even though he had only reached the early stage of myriad worlds birth with one thought and could only construct 10 illusory worlds, when the 10 illusory worlds enveloped him, even primordial sages would fall into an endless illusory maze and be unable to escape from it. It would make them doubt their lives. Illusion is reality and reality is illusion. Xia Ping sat cross-legged on the ground. Thanks to the increase in his illusory state, he realized that his comprehension of the laws of the universe had reached a new level as well. His mind had fused with the source of the universe. Walala, he realized that his comprehension of the law of creation had deepened. In the depths of his consciousness, pieces of law of creation fragments seemed to be forming rapidly as his aura was getting stronger. I'm about to break through. At this moment, Xia Ping's eyes shone with a glint as he was extremely excited. Initially, he had thought that he would require an extremely long period of time to reach the immemorial ancient full cultivation state. However, he had still underestimated his own cultivation speed. Thanks to the improvement of his illusory realm, his comprehension of the law of creation has also become faster. All of this is like water flowing when the conditions are right without any difficulty. Still lacking some energy. Thinking of this, Xia Ping took out 3 world fruits. These were the world fruits he had obtained from the ancient fiends he had killed in the hell world and given to the world tree to refine. The outside of the world fruit was also covered in golden runes, giving off a mystical aura. It was as if there was a miniature world within the fruit. Any cultivator would salivate at the sight of these world fruits and be extremely excited. The reason why Xia Ping hadn't used these world fruits was because he hoped that good steel could be used on the edge of a blade. He couldn't waste it carelessly, but he was at a critical moment of breaking through. Therefore, these world fruits could finally be put to use. They could help him break through his cultivation level in one go. Rumble, without hesitation, he swallowed the 3 world fruits. The moment they melted in his mouth, they produced a massive amount of source energy of the universe. This source energy gushed into his body madly as though it was free, gushing into his limbs and bones. In fact, it even gushed into every single cell of his body. At the same time, he could feel the powers within his body increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The purple mansion space in the depths of his consciousness was expanding outwards as well, and his powers were getting stronger. Boom. After a long time, Xia Ping's body jerked out. It was as though his consciousness had smashed through a huge door in the void. He had finally broken through this bottleneck and stepped into a new cultivation state. Immemorial ancient full cultivation state. I've leveled up. Xia Ping opened his eyes, which shone with a frightening radiance. It was as though he could pierce through the void in all directions. Within the depths of his consciousness, there were already 3,000 law of creation shards gathered. Every single law of creation shard filled the surroundings of his consciousness, resonating with one another and producing a strong, mysterious, and immeasurable power of creation. It was filled with a strong chi of creation. It was as though he was just one step away from metamorphosing from creation and comprehending the laws of the world. From there, he would be able to level up to the ancient saint state. This was the strongest saint below demigods. I'm just too strong now. Xia Ping could sense that after he had leveled up to the immemorial ancient full cultivation state, the area that his consciousness power could cover had already reached a diameter of 3 million light years. If news of this were to spread out, even invincible saints would be scared half to death. Under the envelopment of such a strong consciousness power, it seemed as though he could kill countless living beings with just a single thought. There was no need for him to make a move at all. With a single look, living beings that were much weaker than him would have their souls shattered into pieces. They would not be able to withstand such a terrifying mental pressure. If he had not retracted his mental pressure, even an ancient saint would not have been able to stand firmly before him. This was a pressure that came from a being at the top of the food chain. Let alone the fact that he was proficient in illusory arts and had reached the unparalleled realm of producing 10,000 worlds with a single thought. Just based on his illusory arts alone, he would probably be able to kill off ordinary ancient saints with ease. The Golden Crow of Hell bloodline has leveled up as well. Thanks to the improvement of his cultivation, Xiaoping also realized that after he had leveled up to the creation full cultivation state, the Golden Crow of Hell cells in his body were also awakening at a crazy rate. The rate of awakening was even faster than before. 10 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. In the end, the bloodline in his body had awakened 500 billion Golden Crow of Hell cells. One must know that he had awakened 5 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells previously. If he were to include these 500 billion, he would have awakened a total of 3 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells. This caused the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline in his body to rise to another level. An extremely strong Golden Crow of Hell power was brewing in his body. It was as though the depths of his Dantian Sea of Qi had nurtured a hellfire that was giving birth to terrifying Golden Crow of Hell flames. If the Golden Crow of Hell flames in his body were to erupt completely, the entire Rock Demon City would probably be incinerated into ashes by such flames. There would not be anything left. Chapter 2742. A month later. Xiaoping finally walked out of seclusion. After a month of cultivation, he had completely consolidated his complete immemorial ancient realm cultivation and reached the level of mastery. At the same time, he had a clearer understanding of his soaring soul power and bloodline power. Vaguely, he seemed to have comprehended the laws of the world and showed signs of advancing to immemorial saint. However, his power was still concealed by the formless mask. If he really exploded, it would attract the attention of other demons. Lord Austin. Just as Xiaoping was about to leave the quiet room, a maidservant immediately walked in with a very respectful attitude. "There is a very urgent matter that I need to report to you." "What is it?" Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. "Lord Night Devil King has returned. He gathered all the demons in the Demon Palace to gather in the main hall. It seems that he intends to hold an important meeting. This meeting also requires Lord Austin's participation." The maid told him the news. Night Devil King? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He knew that Night Devil King was Monica's father and also the hall master of the Rock Demon City Demon Palace. His strength had reached invincible realm. If such a person was in the human race, he would be an ancestor-level expert with a high status. Of course, even in the Abyss world, such strength would be at the peak of the Abyss. He was one of the strongest experts and had absolute control over everything. In reality, Night Devil King wasn't just the hall master of the Monster Demon Palace, he was also an elder of the Monster Demon Palace. He had an important position in the Monster Demon Palace. One could say that the reason why so many demons respected and feared Monica was partly because of Monica's strength and partly because of Night Devil King's strength. Usually, Night Devil King wouldn't stay in the Monster Demon Palace and would stay in the headquarters to deal with all sorts of important matters. Now that he had returned to the Monster Demon Palace and was holding a meeting, it was a little unusual. "When will the meeting be held?" Xiaoping asked. "It will be held in 3 days. By then, be it the demons in the Monster Demon Palace or those who are out on missions, they will all return. It will be a grand scene." The maid replied. I understand." Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He felt that something must have happened for the Night Devil King to suddenly return to the Demon Palace. It might have something to do with the invasion of the modern universe. No matter what, he had to be careful in this meeting and find out some important information. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Xiaoping originally wanted to ask Monica for some information, but he found that Monica seemed to be with her father, the Night Devil King, and he couldn't get in touch with her for a while. Therefore he could only give up on the idea of gathering information and wait until now. At this moment, in a large hall of the fiendish demon palace. At this moment, the hall was filled with powerful demons. Undying demons, ancient demons, and medieval demons were everywhere. They could only be considered ordinary and stood at the back. Only the ancient demons and immemorial demons could be considered as the upper echelons of the fiendish demon palace and stood at the forefront. Even the 9 vice hall masters, who were all archaic realm demons, including Monica and the 9-armed lion devil Gentutin, were all here. As expected of the Abyss world. It's just a sub-hall, but it actually has such strength. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and sensed the strength of the demons in the hall. Just the strength of a sub-hall was probably comparable to the strength of a large race in the universe. Although it still couldn't compare to the peak races, it was still quite terrifying. After all, this was just a sub-hall. There were thousands of sub-halls like this in the Abyss continent. One could imagine how deep the foundation of the Abyss world was. It was no wonder that it could become a great threat to the various races. Boom. At this moment, the void trembled and a gigantic black hole appeared on the high platform of the main hall. Ripples appeared in the space as a terrifying power of darkness spread out from the black hole. The darkness that was within reach seemed to drown everything, devouring the endless sunlight and turning everything into a world of darkness. Dong. Suddenly, the void trembled slightly, and a huge dark golden throne descended on the platform. A tall middle-aged man in a suit with a rough face and a full beard appeared in front of the many abyssal demons. He exuded a noble, ancient, and chaotic aura from head to toe. Night Demon King. Xia Ping's pupils constricted. He could sense the terrifying strength and aura that the middle-aged man exuded. It was no weaker than the 9 invincible realm patriarchs of the human race. He could feel the endless darkness from the middle-aged man. It was as though a bit of dark power could completely devour the sunlight of a world. The vastness of this power wasn't something that archaic sages could compare to. He had thought that he could kill archaic sages with his bare hands now that he had reached the immemorial ancient complete realm. He thought that he might be able to fight invincible realm sages. But now, it seemed that he had underestimated invincible realm sages. The difference between archaic realm and invincible realm was probably even greater than the difference between Thunder Tribulation realm and Sempiternal realm. After all, this was a terrifying existence known as a demigod. He already had a bit of divinity in him, and the power he contained was not something that archaic sages could compare to. If that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be so few sages who could reach invincible realm. Swoosh. In an instant, the Night Demon King's gaze swept out in all directions, enveloping this region like a god. Every abyss demon felt as if all their secrets had been seen through by this gaze, making them feel insignificant, as if they could not hide anything from this famous Demon King. His gaze seemed to linger on Xia Ping for a while, as though he wanted to find out everything about Xia Ping. But with the power of the formless mask blocking him, he couldn't find out too much. Moreover, he didn't linger on Xia Ping for too long. In just an instant he retracted his gaze. Everyone. Before Xia Ping could continue thinking, the Night Demon King, who was sitting on the throne, spoke up and said directly, "I've returned to the Rock Demon City just to tell you guys one thing. The Abyss Forbidden Land is about to open." What? The moment he said that, all the abyssal demons present couldn't help but be shocked. All of them revealed looks of disbelief. They hadn't expected to hear such an important piece of news. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2743. Abyss Forbidden Area? Xia Ping's pupils shrank when he heard that. In fact, after obtaining all of Austin's memories, he had a certain level of understanding of the Abyss world. If one were to ask him where he wanted to go the most, it would definitely be the Abyss Forbidden Area. It was said that the Abyss Forbidden Area was a super forbidden area formed when the gods fell in the previous universe era. It was equivalent to a small dark forbidden area. One could imagine how dangerous the Abyss Forbidden Area was. Even demigod experts would fall in there. In fact, there were too many demigod fiendish demons that had fallen in there. It had become a place that many fiendish demons were terrified of. It had already been listed as a forbidden area. There were layers of restrictive formations around it. Ordinary fiendish demons couldn't enter at all. Of course, Xia Ping wanted to enter the Abyss Forbidden Area because he had received news that the greatest secret of the Abyss was in this forbidden area. Legend had it that the Demon Lord had obtained endless benefits after entering the Abyss Forbidden Area and became the strongest existence that suppressed the other Abyss Kings. Therefore, the Abyss Forbidden Area had been the dream of countless fiendish demons. Even though this place was extremely dangerous, the benefits that could be obtained were also great. Unfortunately, this place had long been sealed by the Monster Demon Palace. Besides the higher-ups of the Monster Demon Palace, other fiendish demons weren't qualified to enter at all. If a fiendish demon was discovered to have sneaked in, he would definitely die without a complete corpse and be immediately chased out of the Monster Demon Palace. Xia Ping wanted to obtain great authority in the Monster Demon Palace so that he could enter the Abyss Forbidden Area. He wanted to enter and see what secrets were hidden inside. However, the Night Devil King actually said that the Abyss Forbidden Area was about to open and that many fiendish demons had the opportunity to enter it. This immediately made his heart palpitate. He immediately felt that this was a great opportunity. The opening of the Abyss Forbidden Area? Could it be that the Abyss Grand Competition that happens once every 10,000 years is about to begin? An ancient fiendish demon couldn't help but ask. The so-called Abyss Grand Competition was hosted by the Monster Demon Palace. It was a martial competition that was held once every 10,000 years. However, such a martial competition wasn't like the arena competition of humans. Instead, all the fiendish demons were placed in an extremely dangerous environment and they would kill each other. This way, the fiendish demons that could survive would be the strongest. They advocated killing without any rules. No matter what methods were used, anyone who could survive in such an environment must be the strongest demon. No one could deny that. If anyone could get a good ranking, they would definitely be rewarded by the fiendish demon palace. They might even be greatly nurtured. Of course, the rewards and the competition were all secondary. These fiendish demons loved to kill the most. After all, they were not allowed to kill under normal circumstances. They could only move about according to the rules and regulations. This had long made many fiendish demons unable to hold back. And this martial arts competition was a competition to legally kill other demons. In the process of the competition, one could use any means to kill the enemy. This way they would not have to bear any responsibility. Thus, one could imagine the fervor of the other abyssal demons. Every time it was held, countless abyssal demons would be excited. No way it's going to start again? But wasn't it only held once 6,000 years ago? The deadline of 10,000 years hasn't been reached yet, so why is it being held in advance? Some abyssal demons were confused. In the past, the deadline had always been 10,000 years without missing a minute or a second. But now the deadline had been brought forward by several thousand years. Many abyssal demons were stunned. There's no need to be confused because this is the Demon Master's order. The Night Devil King said, the reason is very simple. The Demon Master wants to select the strongest warriors as the vanguard, and this martial arts competition is a very good opportunity. If anyone can get a good ranking in this competition, they will be entrusted with heavy responsibilities in the fiendish demon palace. They might even become a general and lead a tribe. What? Hearing this, many abyssal demons were extremely excited. This was indeed a great opportunity. If they could get the Demon Master's recognition, they would be able to rise by 3 levels and obtain supreme authority. And authority represented power, wealth, and resources in the abyss. No abyssal demon would let go of such a great opportunity. This was an opportunity to become a fish that leaped through the dragon's gate. However, I have to tell you in advance that this competition is extremely dangerous. The venue will be in the Abyss Forbidden area. Even demigod fiendish demons will die in that place, let alone other fiendish demons. If you are careless, all the participating abyssal fiendish demons might die. The Night Devil King said in a low voice. Abyss Forbidden area? Instantly, many abyssal demons seemed to have been splashed with a bucket of cold water. They calmed down from their frenzied state. It was indeed as the Night Devil King said. If they weren't strong enough, they might die in the Abyss Forbidden area instantly. Even if they were strong enough to protect themselves, they might still die if they were careless. Because the danger of the Abyss Forbidden area didn't only come from other abyssal demons, but also from the Forbidden area itself. And there are almost no restrictions on the strength of the martial arts competition this time. Besides abyssal kings, all demons of other levels can participate, the Night Devil King continued. What? Many demons' faces turned green. If there were no restrictions on strength and all abyssal demons of different levels were in the same arena, then why would the weaker abyssal demons compete? Wouldn't that be sending themselves to their deaths? Most likely, the main characters of this competition would be the immemorial demons. All the other demons were just there to serve as foils. If the other abyssal demons overestimated themselves and wanted to participate, they would be courting death. No wonder the martial arts competition this time was to select an abyssal commander. If the abyssal commander was an immemorial demon, then the other abyssal demons naturally wouldn't have any objections. Moreover, the abyssal demons would be even more convinced that the abyssal demon would be chosen in such a competition. This competition was probably a general mobilization before the war. The goal was to select a suitable abyssal demon commander that could suppress the other abyssal demons wholeheartedly. Such a selection method also made the other abyssal demons feel that it was very fair. To select an abyssal commander? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but reveal a frightening glint. His emotions flickered. His guess was right. The abyssal war was getting closer and closer. Moreover, it was advancing steadily as though it had its own timetable. If he continued to dilly-dally like this, the war would really start. Chapter 2744. If any of you wish to participate, feel free to register. The registration period is 2 hours, and there's no limit to the number of participants. However, the registration will end after 2 hours. The Night Devil King said, indicating that the registration could begin now. There was no limit to the number of participants. This? Many demons looked at each other. Although there was no limit to the number of participants, they all knew their limits. Without sufficient strength, they would only be cannon fodder. Entering would only mean death. Although they coveted power and fame, they weren't idiots. They wouldn't foolishly do something that would only lead to death. For a moment, many demons fell silent. They didn't intend to be the first to stand out. Haha, I've long heard of the Forbidden Abyss. How can I miss out on this competition? At this moment, a primordial realm demon stood out. It was the deputy hall master of the demon palace. It was a multi-eyed spider demon that emitted a chilling dark aura. Vaguely, thousands of eyes appeared on its body. Each eye seemed to contain a strange power. Ordinary demons wouldn't dare to look at it, or they would definitely be cursed. I'll participate too. There's something I need in the Forbidden Abyss. If we can gain the Demon Lord's recognition, it'll be of great benefit to us as well. Hallmaster, I'll also participate. Count me in. At this moment, all the Primordial Realm demons signed up. However, Monica was the only one who didn't move. She didn't seem to have much interest in the competition. Other than that, some of the peak Primordial Realm demons who thought they were strong and had great survival skills also signed up. They didn't want to fight for a ranking. They just wanted to see the Forbidden Abyss. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the time had passed. Soon the 2 hours were up. Apart from these high-level demons, the low-level demons didn't sign up. After all, they knew their limits. Looks like there are no more demons signing up. The Night Devil King swept a glance at the surrounding demons and said indifferently, "Wait, Lord Night Devil King." At this moment, the Deputy Hall Master, Nine-Armed Lion Demon Gentutin, stood out and said to the Night Devil King, Gentutin, what do you want?" The Night Devil King indifferently looked at the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin. "It's like this. I want to recommend a young genius from the monstrous demon palace to participate in the competition of the Abyss Forbidden Area. If he doesn't participate, I'm afraid that our monstrous demon palace will lose a lot of luster." The Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin smiled faintly. He wanted to recommend a young devil to participate. "Oh, a fiendish demon that even you, the Nine-Armed Lion Demon Gentutin, admire? Just which fiendish demon is so capable?" Hearing this, the Night Devil King couldn't help but become interested. Perhaps Lord Night Devil King knows this demon. He is Miss Monica's partner, Flower Devil Austin. The Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin faintly smiled, his eyes revealing a deep cold glint. What? The moment he said this, all the fiendish demons present were shocked. They didn't expect the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin to mention this despicable pretty boy at this time. Furthermore, the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin actually wanted to recommend this pretty boy to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. This was simply unbelievable. Huh? Monica's beautiful eyes also revealed a glimmer of light as she stared at the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin. She could feel the other party's malicious intent. After all, Flower Devil Austin was only an immortal fiendish demon and belonged to the category of low-level fiendish demons. If he participated in this Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, wouldn't he be courting death? Even if one used their knees to think, one could imagine this Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin's malicious intent. She wanted to say something, but the Night Devil King waved his hand and said, "Interesting. I've also heard of this brat. To be able to obtain my daughter Monica's favor, I wonder what kind of young fiendish demon he is. This king originally returned to the Rock Demon City to kill him, but if he has the strength and courage to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, then it's not impossible for him to be together with my daughter." The moment he said this, it was earth-shattering, causing many fiendish demons to be shocked. From what the Night Devil King said, if this brat participated in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, he might recognize this brat's status. Although this brat might not be able to return alive from the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, just the fact that he was recognized by the Night Devil King was enough to incite the jealousy of countless fiendish demons. After all, this was a great opportunity to reach the heavens in a single step. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, Xia Ping became the center of attention on the square. Countless fiendish demons shot envious and jealous gazes at him. Each of them wished they could tear him into pieces. These two old fellows. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. How cunning was he? How could he not understand the intentions of the Night Devil King and the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Gentutin? They were clearly using both carrot and stick to force him to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. There was no need to talk about the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin. This old thing might have suspected him of being related to his son's death, so he suspected him and wanted to take the opportunity to kill him during the tournament. As for why the Night Devil King wanted to kill him, it might have a lot to do with Monica. But no matter what the reason was, there was no doubt that these two old things wanted to force him to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. But in reality he had wanted to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. After all, if he wanted to enter the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, he wouldn't be able to do so without sufficient authority. He didn't know how long it would take, so he wouldn't miss this rare opportunity. Thinking to this point, Xiaoping stood up and said, "Lord Night Devil King, Lord Gentutin, in reality I've wanted to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament for a long time. I didn't expect to be recommended by the two of you. I'm truly honored." Hearing this, the pupils of the Night Devil King and the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin shrank. They didn't expect this brat to agree so easily. According to their expectations, this brat should have refused in every possible way. Then they could use the crime of disrespect to punish this brat harshly and banish him to another place. Out of sight, out of mind. However, this young man had unexpectedly agreed, and they were at a loss for what to do. But they were still cunning fiendish demons. Although they were dazed for a moment, they quickly reacted and recovered their previous shrewdness. "I didn't expect your courage to be so commendable. My daughter didn't misjudge you." The Night Devil King could only say this. Chapter 2745. This has nothing to do with courage. Xiaoping said casually. "Oh? What do you mean?" The Night Devil King asked curiously. "Because the competition will be held in the Abyss Forbidden area. That place is extremely dangerous. If you're unlucky, even the Night Devil King will die, let alone the other demons. I Austin am not talented. I can't do anything else, but my luck is very good. Perhaps this competition in the Forbidden Abyss is tailor-made for me." Xiaoping said with a smile. "What?" Hearing this, the Night Devil King's face darkened a little, and the corner of his mouth twitched a little. This bastard really couldn't spit out anything good. What did he mean by even he would die if he entered the forbidden area of the abyss? These were the words of a demon. Wasn't this blatantly cursing him? This was simply audacious to the extreme. However, he couldn't refute anything because the Abyss Forbidden Area was indeed a dangerous place. Even the Abyss King would be wary of it and not dare to approach it. However, this guy was really thick-skinned. He even dared to say that this competition was tailor-made for him. How thick-skinned did he have to be to dare say such a thing? Could it be that this was how his daughter was pursued? Thinking of this, he felt that he shouldn't let this bastard stay with his daughter. Otherwise, his daughter would be miserably tricked by this kid. "Austin, I didn't expect you to be so courageous. Looks like this palace lord will have to get closer to you after entering the Abyss Forbidden Area so that we can take care of each other." The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin narrowed his eyes, and an unknown killing intent flickered in his eyes. However, he didn't show it. If they really entered the Abyss Forbidden Area, killing each other wouldn't be a crime. He could easily kill this kid and figure out what happened to his son. "No need. I hate being with men. If you go for an operation, I might be able to accept it," Xiaoping said disdainfully. "What?" Hearing this, the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin immediately went crazy, and his face turned red. He was the deputy palace lord of the demon palace, a primordial demon. How dare this bastard talk to him like this and ask him for an operation? If the Night Devil King wasn't here, he would definitely hammer this bastard to death. Since that's the case, I wish you good luck." The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He didn't want to be too impulsive and beat this kid to death. He would endure it for now. After entering the Abyss Forbidden Area, he would let this kid know why flowers were red. Cough cough. "Alright, since there are no more demons signing up, the meeting will be adjourned." The Night Devil King coughed. He felt that if this brat continued talking, the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin would probably go berserk. Even he could not control the urge to beat this brat up. On the second day, the news that Xiaoping had registered for the competition in the Forbidden Abyss lands spread throughout the fiendish demon palace in the blink of an eye. All the fiendish demons knew about it and they were all discussing it. No way this kid actually dared to sign up for the Abyssal Forbidden Area competition? What a joke. I heard he completed a mission and killed a near ancient realm sand demon. Maybe he thinks he has some ability and wants to try his luck. Luck my ass. This is the competition of the Forbidden Abyss, not something else. The Forbidden Abyss is full of dangers. Even the Abyssal Kings have to be careful. This pretty boy wants to go in and try his luck? I'm afraid he's crazy. I heard that this kid had no choice but to participate in the Abyss Forbidden Zone competition. Lord Night Devil King said that only if he can come out alive from the Abyss Forbidden Zone competition can he be with Lord Monica. Haha, stupid pretty boy. He must be dumbfounded now. He thought he could live off a woman for the rest of his life. Who would have thought he would be forced by the Night Devil King like this? Looks like he's dead meat. Not necessarily. It said that Lady Monica is very anxious this time. She's practically burning with impatience. She found a bunch of life-saving treasures and gave them to that pretty boy so that he can come out of the Forbidden Abyss alive. Damn it. Why is this gigolo's luck so good? He actually managed to latch onto Lady Monica's thigh. If Lady Monica really goes all out to help him, coupled with the many treasures she possesses, he might really be able to leave this place alive. The demons in the abyss discussed. They didn't expect Flower Devil Austin to really dare to participate in the competition in the Abyss Forbidden area. This was beyond their expectations. Some demons were gloating. They thought this kid was dead meat. He couldn't come back alive. Some demons thought he might really have a chance to come back alive with Lady Monica's help. At that time he might reach the sky in one step. No matter which fiendish demon it was, they all felt that Austin was simply lucky to be able to be a gigolo to such an extent. All of them were extremely jealous. At this moment in Xia Ping's residence, Monica also arrived at the mansion's hall. She said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Master Austin. I didn't expect Father to force you to do such a thing. If you don't want to, we can immediately run away and not participate in this Abyssal Forbidden Area tournament. We can run to a place where Father can't find us." She wanted to elope with Xia Ping. "No need. It's just a competition in the Abyss Forbidden Area. It's nothing." "What? Do you think I will die in this so-called Abyssal Forbidden Area competition?" Xia Ping glanced at her. He finally found this chance to enter the Abyss Forbidden Area. How could he leave like this? Wasn't that stupid? No. I don't think so. I'm just a little worried. But it's great that Lord Austin is confident. Monica said immediately. That's great. Women shouldn't care about men's matters. Just stand at the side obediently. Understand? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. And then, I understand. Monica looked at Xia Ping with admiration. But if Sir Austin can get a good ranking in this Abyssal Forbidden Area tournament, then even Father won't be able to stop us. What stop? I will replace him sooner or later. So what if he's the Night Devil King? Xia Ping said calmly. He said it in a matter-of-fact tone. This was a very normal thing for him. Hearing this, Monica's heart thumped wildly and her face turned red. Sure enough, Lord Austin's current appearance was too enchanting. He was practically a demon among demons. Chapter 2746. Several days later. In the Devil Demon Palace of the Rock Demon City, many fiendish demons who signed up for the Forbidden Abyss competition and those who planned to go to the Forbidden Abyss to watch the fun took the teleportation formation of the Devil Demon Palace to the Forbidden Abyss. In fact, every branch of the Devil Demon Palace had set up teleportation formations scattered in every corner of the Abyss continent. This also allowed fiendish demons from all over to gather quickly. It just so happened that there was also a super teleportation formation near the Forbidden Abyss for the convenience of many fiendish demons. Boom, in an instant, Xia Ping and the others took the teleportation formation of the Rock Demon City and arrived at a base near the Forbidden Abyss in just an instant. Is this the base near the Forbidden Abyss? Many fiendish demons from the Rock Demon City were very curious and looked around. This place was considered an important place in the Abyss. Usually, no fiendish demons were qualified to come here except for the Kings of the Abyss and the primordial fiendish demons. Therefore, they were also very curious about this legendary place and wanted to broaden their horizons. Xia Ping also looked around and immediately found himself in a huge square. It was huge and seemed to have no end. Above his head was the dark sky. It seemed that he was surrounded by the power of the dark abyss like an eggshell. The void in all directions was covered with the power of restriction. It seemed that if any fiendish demons dared to touch it, they would be instantly killed by the restriction formation of the abyss and die without a whole corpse. In the distance was the mysterious Forbidden Abyss. However, the abyssal forbidden area in the distance had also been enveloped by countless spatial distortions. Layer upon layer, and countless spatial restriction formations had appeared in the surrounding void. However, from time to time, from the spacetime cracks above the Forbidden Abyss, a terrifying aura of death and the angry roar of the abyss came out, which was enough to make countless fiendish demons tremble in fear and throb from the depths of their blood. Obviously, the forbidden abyss here had long been sealed by the restriction formation set up by the kings of the abyss. In fact, this was not a base to seal the abyss, and the kings of the abyss did not have the ability to do so. They only built restriction formations in the area to form a restriction wall to prevent other fiendish demons from entering. They also isolated the terrifying power in the forbidden abyss from seeping out to prevent it from hurting the outside world. Is this the most mysterious place in the abyss? Xiaoping rubbed his chin. His emotions were surging because he didn't expect that he would be able to reach the core of the abyss so quickly. This was a place that even the invincible saints of the myriad of races couldn't get close to, not even in the ancient times. In fact, the closer he got to the forbidden area of the abyss, the more he could feel the terror of the abyssal energy. It was everywhere, permeating the void and eroding every cell in his body. To the abyssal demons, this kind of abyssal energy was naturally a great supplement. The closer they were to it, the more benefits they could obtain, and the stronger the abyssal energy in their bodies. However, the abyssal power was like a deadly poison to all living beings in the universe. Even an invincible saint would find it difficult to stay in such a place for a long time. If he stayed any longer, he would probably be completely corroded and degenerate into an abyssal creature. Fortunately, he had the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell, which allowed him to survive even in the dirtiest places in hell, not to mention the abyss world and the power to devour the abyss. As soon as the abyssal power entered his body, the hellfire crucible would devour it, expunging impurities and transforming it into pure power that he could use to improve his own magical power. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. At this moment, tens of thousands of demons with powerful auras appeared in the teleportation formation. They walked out rapidly from the teleportation formation. Other than the demons from the Rock Demon City, there were also powerful demons from all over the Abyss continent. Almost every city had sent a large number of demons to participate in the Abyss Grand Tournament. The number of such demons was simply uncountable. Looking over, almost all of them were at the Immemorial Ancient Realm, and Immemorial Ancient Realm demons could be found everywhere. If not for the fact that the nature of the power was different, Xiaoping would have thought that he had returned to hell. Isn't this Austin? Why are you in this place? At this moment, a crisp voice rang out. A tall and extremely beautiful woman walked over. She had a pair of purple bull horns on her head, and her body exuded a powerful aura. Lightning flashed faintly and thunder patterns covered her body. Her strength had reached the immemorial ancient realm. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. In an instant, all the fiendish demons from the Rock Demon City looked at Xiaoping in unison. Monica, who was standing at the side, was also a little dumbfounded. She did not know when Austin had gotten to know such a beautiful female fiendish demon. Moreover, her strength did not seem to lose to her. Oh my god, this is the saintess of the Ox Demon City, Shamensa. It is said that she is second to none, and her strength is only inferior to the Abyssal Kings. Some demons seemed to recognize this woman and could not help but exclaim. In fact, such powerful demons were also very famous in the Abyss continent. Even if not every demon knew them, a considerable number of them would. The Shamansa was one of them. She was the famous Thunder Demon. Oh, this is my ex-girlfriend. It's all in the past. Xiaoping immediately recalled this matter from Austin's memories. Austin seemed to have had an affair with this woman, but this woman was purely a pervert, and she loved to use thunder to shock people. Austin had been tortured by this woman to the point where he wished he was dead. He would be shocked every few days and his brain was almost fried. For the sake of his own life, he had to run away. Ex-girlfriend? When did this happen? I did not agree to break up with you. That night you left without a word. Do you know that I have been looking for you for a long time? This time, don't even think of running away. Shamansa's beautiful eyes revealed a glimmer of light. She felt her blood boiling because she had rarely been so moved by her prey. Originally, she thought that she had forgotten about this prey, but now that she saw him again, she realized that this man was many times more handsome than before, and he was even more manly. She was a little unable to control the impulse in her body, and she wanted to make this handsome man her own. Shamansa, get out of here. Who do you think you are? Austin is my man. At this moment, another female demon came from afar. She was very beautiful and she was wearing black silk clothes. She was tall and she looked like a black widow, exuding an enchanting aura. She looked at Shamansa with extreme arrogance, and seemed to be very familiar with Austin. Sogu reading website. Chapter 2747. Damn, another woman? All the fiendish demons were dumbfounded. One of them was enough. They didn't expect another to come. Moreover, this Black Widow female fiendish demon wasn't simple either. Her strength had reached the archaic realm and wasn't any weaker than Monica and the other fiendish demons. My god, that's the dark spider demon Catherine, the famous Black Widow of the Abyss continent. It's said that countless fiendish demons have died in her hands. Her status is second only to the Abyss King. Many fiendish demons think that she's not far from the Abyss King realm. A fiendish demon couldn't help but exclaim. He recognized this woman. She was the famous Black Widow. Who's this woman? Monica's face darkened. Her tone was a little gloomy as she stared at Xia Ping. She's also my ex-girlfriend. Xia Ping's mouth twitched. That was indeed the case. This dark spider demon Catherine had once had a relationship with Austin and was kept by him. Unfortunately, this woman was also a pervert. This woman loved to tie people up with spider webs. Austin didn't know how many times he had been tied up, from morning to night without any rest. Once, when this woman wasn't paying attention, Austin tore apart the spider webs and ran away. He was so scared that he didn't dare to go near the city where this woman was. Even when he heard the news, he quickly escaped to avoid being caught. What ex-girlfriend? Austin, you're my favorite pet. Don't tell me you've forgotten about this. Do you want me to help you remember? Catherine looked at Xia Ping with a smile. Catherine, you filthy woman. Leave Lord Austin immediately. Don't go within 10 meters of him. I want to vomit just looking at you. At this time, another female fiendish demon in white came over. She looked at Austin with an infatuated expression, as if she had seen a prey that she hadn't seen for a long time. She wanted to swallow Austin alive. Her face was pure, as if she was a saintess untainted. But seeing this female fiendish demon, all the fiendish demons took dozens of steps back in fright. They couldn't help but cry out in fear, "White Bone Demon Jennifer, why is she here?" In fact, the other demons could not be blamed for being so afraid. The White Bone Devil Jennifer was more famous than the other demons. However, it was not a good reputation but a bad reputation. This demoness had a murderous nature and would slaughter an entire clan at the slightest provocation. Wherever she passed, everything turned into white bones. It was said that this was because she had a hobby of collecting bones. She liked to skin these beheaded demons and pull out their tendons, leaving only a pile of bones for her collection at home. Even her castle was built from the skeletons of countless demons, giving it an eerie feeling. Who is she? Monica's face had completely darkened. She's also my ex-girlfriend. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He didn't even know how many demonesses Austin had provoked and how many of them had taken care of him. His footprints were practically all over the Abyss continent. However, Austin had no choice but to run away from the white bone demon Jennifer because this female demon was also a pervert. Although she was also infatuated and liked Austin very much. The problem was that this woman liked Austin too much. She only liked Austin's bones. Therefore, she wanted to devour all of Austin's flesh and blood, turning Austin into a pile of bones that would accompany her for eternity. This thought immediately scared Austin to the point of peeing his pants. He ran away in the middle of the night. If he was one step late, he would most likely be turned into a skeleton specimen by this woman. Oh my God, Lord Austin, I didn't expect to meet you in this place. This is really great. Since the last time we parted, I thought I would never be able to see you again. Now that we can finally meet again, it seems that we are fated. Austin, you won't be able to escape this time. In the end, you're mine. No one can save you. At this time, powerful demonesses walked over from afar. When they saw Austin, it was as if they had discovered a new continent. All of them were extremely excited. Some of them were white-faced fox demons, some were succubus demons, some were scarlet scorpion demons, and some were nine-headed snake demons. However, each of them had reached the archaic realm and were extremely tyrannical. Each of them exuded a tyrannical aura that shook the void. When these demonesses arrived, their auras kept clashing with each other. It was as if the void was about to be torn apart, and none of them were willing to give in. The surrounding demons were dumbfounded. They didn't expect this kid to have hooked up with so many demonesses. Every one of them was a famous existence in the Abyss continent. But now, they actually had an extraordinary relationship with this kid. Damn it, how could this make sense? What kind of charm did this kid have? Was there any logic to it? All the fiendish demons were envious and jealous of Xia Ping. Why did these female fiendish demons take a fancy to this pretty boy but not to them? Was there still justice in this world? What kind of charm did this kid have? What was so great about him? Who are they? Monica gritted her teeth. She seemed to be in a state of blackness. They are all my ex-girlfriends, Xiaoping said honestly. In fact, these demonesses were more or less related to Austin in the past. This was all because of Austin's womanizing. The reason why the demonesses that Austin provoked were so powerful was because of the special characteristics of the flower demon's bloodline. The stronger the demoness, the easier it was for them to be attracted by the power of the flower demon's bloodline. On the contrary, the weaker the demoness, the more they looked down on Austin. Therefore, for his own survival, Austin used the power of his bloodline to have relationships with powerful demonesses and became their sugar moms. Originally, he thought that he could reach the peak of his life just like that. But he didn't expect that these demonesses were all perverts. They were either torturers, stalkers, or murderers. None of them were normal. They tortured him until he wished he was dead. This also forced Austin to flee everywhere, hoping to avoid these demonesses. Austin wanted to be a sugar moms. He wanted to get rich overnight. He didn't want to work hard, but he didn't want to die. But this couldn't be helped. After all, being a gigolo had its risks. Who knew what kind of perverted hobbies these rich women had? Later, he finally found a Monica who wasn't so perverted. He didn't expect that she would be killed by other jealous demonesses. His life was miserable and nothing good happened. Chapter 2748. Humph. Hearing this, Monica snorted coldly and looked at the female demons in front of her with an unfriendly gaze. You must be Moon Demon Monica. You have some skills. You even dare to snatch my man. Don't you have any shame? Do you like second-hand goods and play with the leftovers of others? When Shamansa heard this cold snort, she immediately stared at Monica and sneered. The other female demons also smiled faintly and looked at Monica in unison. They could all see that this woman was their biggest competitor. She seemed to be Austin's current girlfriend. All of them showed hostility and disdain in their eyes. The surrounding abyssal demons immediately became spirited. They widened their eyes and watched the show from the side. This was like a scene of charade. They were going to fight it out on the spot. Moreover, these were not ordinary demons. They were famous immemorial demons. Their strength was second only to the abyssal kings. One could imagine their combat power. If these immemorial demons fought, it would be a complete mess. However, such a thing was simply unheard of in the Abyss continent. He was just an immortal demon, but he actually caused these powerful female immemorial demons to fight for his affections. To be honest, what kind of charm did this kid have to make these female demons disregard their image and fight it out in front of so many demons? It was really unimaginable. At this moment, many abyssal demons gradually gathered over. It was the nature of life to watch a show. Even abyssal demons could not avoid it. Don't be arrogant here, an abandoned woman. I'm afraid it's because of your personality that Lord Austin doesn't like you and chose to break up with you. Have you ever reflected on this? If you're old, you should find an old man. Aren't you ashamed of fighting with others over some fresh meat? You don't even know your own age. Monica sneered and retorted, not to be outdone. What? Hearing this, Charmansa and the other female demons widened their eyes and glared at Monica. Their hearts instantly burned with anger. This damn girl really dared to say anything. He actually dared to say that they were old. It had been many years since a fiendish demon dared to say such words in front of them. Any fiendish demon that dared to say such words had basically turned into a cup of soil. But this damn girl actually dared to say such words in front of them. She was truly audacious to the extreme. She didn't even know how to write the word death. It could be said that this poked at the soft spot in the depths of their hearts. Little girl, you haven't even grown your hair yet, and you still dare to boast shamelessly here. Snatching a man doesn't depend on age, it depends on charm. You should go back and train for a few years before coming out. Others might be afraid of your father, the Night Demon King, but I'm not. Just because you have a good father, you want to learn from others and snatch a man's love, do you have any shame? Dark Spider Demon Catherine sneered and looked at Monica arrogantly. Charm? You're not fit to talk to me about charm. You should go back and lose some weight. If you lose a few pounds, maybe some men will want you. Your problem is that you're fat. Don't you understand? Monica sneered. Fat? What do you know? This is called curvaceous and mature, do you understand? You actually dare to say that I'm fat? The Dark Spider Demon Catherine was so angry that she almost died. Her pretty face turned red and she wanted to eat Monica alive. In her entire life, she had never heard any demon say that she was fat. Who didn't know that she had the most perfect and most devilish figure? Her reputation had also resounded throughout the entire Abyss continent. Almost no demon didn't know about her. To be honest, she couldn't stand this woman. She was too fucking infuriating. Don't talk to this little girl. Whatever she says is like fart. She doesn't listen at all. She's probably been spoiled by the Night Demon King and got a princess syndrome. She thinks that all the demons in the world have to give in to her. White Bone Demon Jennifer sneered and looked at Monica disdainfully. Princess syndrome? I'm a princess, so what if I have a princess syndrome? Look at your pale face, you probably eat very little to lose weight. Let me tell you, you're different from Catherine. You're just plain ugly. No matter how much you lose weight, it's useless. This is innate. You should go for plastic surgery. That's the best way to solve it. Congenital deficiencies have to be made up for later. Monica sneered. White Bone Demon Jennifer was furious. Her finger pointed at Monica and trembled slightly. She knew Catherine's current mood. She couldn't wait to cut this girl into pieces. She was a white bone demon. She was born like this. Skinny as a bag of bones. This was a very normal appearance. But from the mouth of this bastard woman, she actually dared to say that she became like this to lose weight. Moreover, this woman's mouth was extremely poisonous. She even dared to openly say that she was ugly and that her congenital deficiencies had to be made up for later in life. What kind of woman could endure such an evaluation? She wanted to tear this little girl apart. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. He didn't expect Monica to be such a sharp-tongued woman. Her poisonous tongue was no less than his own strength. He didn't know if she had hidden such a talent before. Once it burst out, it was simply a battle of words. It was easy to deal with these female demons. The surrounding abyssal fiendish demons were also dumbfounded, and a chill surged in the depths of their hearts. The tit-for-tat between the words of these women, and the flashes of blades and shadows of swords weren't the slightest bit inferior to a battle of life and death. It was simply fatal, and it attacked the hearts of the abyssal fiendish demons. Sharp-tongued little girl. You really refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. In that case, there's no need to be polite with you. Let's solve this problem according to the most normal rules of our abyss. The white-faced fox demon said with a smile. Her body exuded a faint killing intent. The so-called most normal rule of the abyss was actually killing. The strong were respected. Whoever was stronger could get everything. This was the way the abyss solved everything. If one's strength was insufficient, then there was no way to get anything. This was the rule. The winner was king and the loser was the thief. This was also an extremely cruel rule. Hee, who's afraid of who? Do you think you can defeat me, Moon Demon Monica, with your own strength? Monica sneered. She was not afraid at all. She was the daughter of the Night Demon King. She was born with a noble bloodline and outstanding battle strength. How could an ordinary abyss demon compare to her? Other than the Abyss King, she was not afraid of anyone. Rumble, in an instant, the many female demons present looked at each other. A huge world domain spread out from their bodies and collided together. It was as if many worlds were colliding. It clearly hadn't started, but the void in all directions had been shaken by the terrifying power of the world domain, causing huge cracks to appear in the void. Chapter 2749. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Sensing the terrifying aura, the surrounding abyssal demons' expressions changed drastically. They knew that these women were serious. The murderous intent in the depths of the void completely proved their determination. In the abyss there was no difference between men and women. The only difference was strength. Demons who were not strong enough would be killed instantly and become low-level demons. Shaman Sa and the other primordial fiendish demons could make a name for themselves among the countless abyssal demons and instilled fear in countless abyssal demons. That was because they killed their way out and not because other demons gave in to them. In an instant, the nearby abyssal demons retreated. They did not dare to stay at their original spot lest they were affected by the aftershocks of the battle between these primordial fiendish demons. In a battle between demons of this level, even primordial fiendish demons of the same level would be wary, let alone primordial fiendish demons. If they were not careful, they might be seriously injured. They did not want to be involved in such a battle. Oh my god, they are really going to fight over a man. The surrounding abyssal demons were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their eyes. They looked at Xia Ping with complicated expressions. Their hearts were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. This guy was simply a femme fatale. Did being handsome really bring so many benefits? He actually made so many female demons go crazy and fight over him. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying aura descended from the depths of the void. In an instant, the world domains of Monica and the other female demons were suppressed and completely shattered. Immediately, an old man in a suit with a walking stick in his hand and a pair of goat horns on his head walked out of the void. His body exuded a terrifying abyssal aura. In just an instant, Monica and the other primordial fiendish demons were suppressed to the point that they could not move. All their world domains were destroyed and the abyssal demon chi was completely destroyed. They could not use any power at all. The other abyssal demons were also shocked. Although the appearance of the old man in the suit was not targeted at them, just the aftershock of his power was enough to easily suppress them. At this moment they felt as though they were carrying a world on their backs. It was so heavy that they could not breathe and all their power was suppressed. Xiaoping also felt the terrifying pressure. To be honest, he could feel that the old man in the suit was extremely terrifying. He was not any weaker than the human race patriarchs he had met before. The aura of chaos, ancientness, and abyss emanated from it. It was as if it had lived through countless years and experienced countless seasons. It was as if it was a living history. Great Elder. Seeing the appearance of the old man in the suit, even the unruly Monica and the other female fiendish demons could not help but restrain their emotions. They immediately withdrew all their powers and respectfully bowed. This was because this old man was the famous Great Elder of the Demon Palace, Time Demon Mo Luan. In fact, before the Demon Lord appeared, Great Elder Mo Luan was one of the strongest kings in the Abyss world. Its strength far surpassed that of the Night Demon King and the other Demon Kings, and it could be said to be one of the most ancient existences in the Abyss world. It had also lived from the immemorial era to the present day, running through the history of the Abyss world. Even now, its strength was second only to the Devil Lord. The Abyss demons present were basically its juniors. Ever since it appeared, when it fought in the north and south, the Abyss demons present were probably not even born yet. Therefore, be it in terms of history or strength, no demon dared to act rashly in front of this Great Elder Caesar. This is the forbidden area of the Abyss, you must not act rashly. This is your first offense, so I'll let you off this time. If there's a next time, then I'll imprison you in the Abyss prison for 10,000 years as punishment. Great Elder Mo Luan said lightly. Abyss prison? Hearing this, Monica and the other fiendish demons could not help but shiver. This was one of the most terrifying places in the Abyss world. Once one entered, there was basically no way to escape. Moreover, it was completely dark inside without any light. Time and space would be distorted, and the perception of time would be extremely long. If one stayed inside for too long, they would almost go crazy. That kind of silent, unmoving, and seemingly endless prison, even the Abyss King would not be able to hold on for long. What was even more terrifying was that the Abyss prison would also give birth to a creature called the Soul Devourer. This creature was silent, colorless, and formless. It specialized in devouring the optimistic emotions and memories of the fiendish demon souls, leaving only the negative, murderous, crazy, and sad memories and emotions. Staying in that place was like turning into a madman. At every moment, one would feel incomparable sadness and madness, or fall into a murderous state, unable to extricate themselves. All the fiendish demons that came out of the Abyss prison would more or less suffer from mental illness. It would take a long time for them to recover from such psychological trauma. Some fiendish demons could not even recover, and in the end, it would become a weakness in their soul like a psychological shadow. Therefore, many fiendish demons were afraid of this place and would rather die than go there. Understood, Great Elder. Thinking of this, Monica and the other fiendish demons immediately nodded. They expressed that they would definitely not fight in this place, and would definitely not violate the rules here. That's for the best. Time Demon Mo Luan nodded. He glanced at Xiaoping slightly, then turned around and entered the void. In an instant, his figure disappeared in front of the fiendish demons. And the terrifying power that enveloped the entire square also disappeared at this moment. At this moment, all the fiendish demons could not help but heave a sigh of relief, as if the calamity had disappeared. In fact, if this Great Elder wanted to, he could probably easily wipe out all the fiendish demons present and disappear from the Abyss world in an instant. This Great Elder is not simple. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could feel the terror of Time Demon Mo Luan. There seemed to be a tyrannical law of time flowing on his body, as if he had reversed the law of time. Even time could not bind his figure. Although he appeared in the void on the surface, in fact, his true body was in the river of time, and he could jump in the time dimension at will. This ability made Time Demon Mo Luan one of the strongest Abyss Kings, just a step away from becoming a god. But thinking of this, his heart became even heavier. Even such a tyrannical time demon Mo Luan was still not the number one expert in the abyss world. The number one expert was the mysterious demon lord of unknown origin. This demon lord could even suppress time demon Mo Luan and make him submit wholeheartedly. One could imagine how terrifying this demon lord was. He was definitely an existence that made people tremble in fear. Perhaps this demon lord's strength was not inferior to the great elder of the dragon clan, the dragon god shrine master Samuel, who had lived from the last universe era to the present. Chapter 2750. Humph, Monica, consider yourself lucky this time. With the great elder here, if it were another place, I'm afraid you would be finished. Shamunsa and the other female fiend breathed a sigh of relief after seeing great elder Mo Luan leave. Then she sneered and stared at Monica with unabated hostility. What a joke. Without the great elder here you would be dead already. What right do you have to talk to me here? Monica was not to be outdone. However, Shamansa and the other demonesses ignored Monica and focused their attention on Xia Ping. Austin, you are mine. No demon can take you away from me. You can't run this time. I will find you no matter where you hide in the abyss. Lord Austin, you will belong to me. You will always belong to me. Streams of divine sense transmitted into Xia Ping's sea of consciousness. They were all transmitted by these female demons. Their desire for Xia Ping was very strong and domineering. This made Xia Ping feel extremely strange in his heart. It was as if he was the true femme fatale, causing many demonesses to fight each other, causing the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. Perhaps this was the feeling of those femme fatale beauties in ancient times, such as Su Daji, Yang Guifei, De Qiao, Xiao Qiao, and Diao Chan, being fought over by those ambitious men. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. After saying that, the female fiendish demons left the place. Clearly the great elder's words were very serious. Not many fiendish demons dared to go against the great elder's words. Humph, I didn't expect you to have such a rich love history. You have so many ex-girlfriends that it's scary. Monica gritted her teeth and stared at Xia Ping. Honestly, if she knew this bastard had so many ex-girlfriends and such complicated feelings, she would not have kept him. Well, it's not my fault that I'm handsome, Xia Ping said innocently. When the abyssal demons at the side heard this, they couldn't help but want to beat this kid up. His words were really asking for it. They were all envious, jealous, and hateful. Why was this brat able to attract the adoration of so many outstanding female demons? This was simply too unfair. Was there still any reason for this? Not far away, the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin and his subordinates were also witnessing this scene. Their worldview had been completely refreshed. It was truly unimaginable. Damn, what did this kid do? What's so great that so many powerful female demons like him? What kind of joke is this? Some ancient demons were dumbfounded. If he was a sugar daddy of a rich woman, then he would be a gigolo. But if he was a sugar daddy of a group of rich women, then he would be the king of YA. He could become a legend. And the most annoying thing was that these rich women were very beautiful, powerful, and rich, with many suitors. And the most annoying thing was that these rich women were very beautiful, powerful, and rich, with many suitors. Hee, this brat does have some methods to make women happy. His flattery skills have probably reached perfection. The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin was so jealous that his intestines turned green. In fact, among them, the dark spider demon Catherine was a female demon that it had admired for a long time. It had also pursued her before, giving her many gifts and spending a lot of effort. But she didn't even look at him. Instead, she beat him up. If it was a weak female demon, he might be able to force himself on her and snatch her away. The problem was that she was stronger than him. How could he snatch her away? But this kind of woman actually liked this shameless, despicable, and weak gigolo. He didn't even need to put in any effort to obtain dark spider demon Catherine's favor. How could he accept such a ridiculous fact? Even without the matter with his son, he would still kill this bastard. No demon in the abyss could imagine his anger at this moment. If anger could affect reality, this area would probably be burnt to a crisp. Boss, this flower demon Austin is really too demonic. I really can't stand him. Just looking at him makes me want to beat him up. I really can't stand him for even a second. A demon said while gnashing his teeth. Don't worry. Once we enter the forbidden abyss, he's dead for sure. At that time, no demon can save him. The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin clenched his fists. He felt his killing intent getting stronger and stronger. If it wasn't for the threat of the Grand Elder, he wouldn't have been able to control his urge to punch that kid. But what if those female demons protect that kid? Yeah, it looks like those female demons are also going to enter the Forbidden Abyss. If that kid is protected by them, it'll be hard for us to do anything to him. Many demons discussed. They felt that the current situation was a little tricky. If the flower demon was protected by those female demons, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. After all, those female demons had reached the archaic realm. In terms of strength, they were even stronger than the 9-armed lion devil Gentutin. Don't worry. Once we enter the Forbidden Abyss, all of us demons will be separated and teleported to different corners of the Forbidden Abyss. Unless we gather inside, we won't be able to gather together from the start. As long as we quickly find that kid, we'll be able to get rid of him easily. The 9-armed lion devil Gentutin was filled with killing intent. In another place. That was a place where the abyssal kings gathered. It seemed like they were in a palace far away from the plaza. These kings could also easily sense the situation on the plaza. In fact, when the Grand Elder Time Devil Mo Luan made his move, they already knew. Night Devil King, I didn't expect your son-in-law to be so charming. He clearly isn't that strong, but he's so popular with women. The one who spoke was an abyssal king. He immediately laughed at the Night Devil King. He's not my son-in-law. The Night Devil King's face was very dark. He felt that because of that kid Xia Ping, he had lost face in front of so many abyssal monsters. He's not your son-in-law, but looking at your daughter, she probably won't marry anyone but him. An abyssal monster laughed cruelly. Humph, if he wants to become my son-in-law, we'll have to see if he can come back alive from the Forbidden Abyss. If he dies inside, then everything will be over. The Night Devil King sneered. Then if he comes back alive, won't you have to acknowledge his position? The Abyssal Devil King smiled. We'll talk about it when he comes back alive. The Night Devil King didn't comment. Of course, he also didn't believe that this guy who lived off a woman could come back alive from the Forbidden Abyss that was filled with dangers. Even an abyssal monster like him would feel that this place was filled with dangers and couldn't be underestimated. Otherwise, if he took a wrong step, he might die without a complete corpse and turn into ashes. Chapter 2751. Several hours later, powerful abyssal demons from all over the Abyss continent gathered in the square. Even though not all of the primordial fiendish demons were gathered here, more than half of them were gathered here. Looking over, they were densely packed together, and it was impossible to tell how many there were. In truth, Xia Ping felt a little suffocated when he saw this scene. He had underestimated the battle potential of the Abyss demons. Just these primordial fiendish demons and primordial fiendish demons alone could cause great danger to the modern universe. If his true identity was exposed in the Abyss, he would be dead instantly. He wouldn't be able to escape at all. From this, one could see how tyrannical the abyssal demons were. No wonder they could contend against all the races in the universe. If this power erupted, it could definitely sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Boom. At this moment, when all the abyssal demons had gathered, a figure appeared in midair, emitting a terrifying pressure that suppressed the entire square. In an instant, all the abyssal demons held their breath and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Because the Great Elder Time Demon Mo Luan appeared again. He held a walking stick and looked down at all the abyssal demons. All the abyssal demons could feel the Great Elder's abyss-like vast power. The Abyssal Forbidden Area Grand Competition is about to begin. Almost all of you are here, so the content of this grand competition is very simple. Great Elder Mo Luan didn't waste any time and directly revealed the content of this competition. It's to see who gains more in the Abyssal Forbidden Area and who will win. What? As soon as he said this, all the abyssal demons revealed a stern look and their faces became very solemn. Usually, the abyssal demons would fight against each other to show which demon was more powerful. This was a real fight with swords and spears. It was very bloody. But this time, the content was to examine the gains in the Abyssal Forbidden Area. Although it didn't seem as barbaric and bloody on the surface, in fact, it was many times more dangerous. Because this was not just any other place but the Abyssal Forbidden Area. It was a terrifying place that even the abyssal kings would fall in. It was a place that was formed after the fall of gods. To gain gains in such a place was more difficult than ascending to the heavens. If they were to fight each other, it would be relatively simple. After all, they were all primordial realm demons. Even if there was a difference in strength between them, the difference wouldn't be unimaginable. The problem was that if one wanted to obtain treasures in the Forbidden Abyss, one would have to face the unpredictable dangers in the Forbidden Abyss. If one was careless, one would die instantly. This kind of danger did not matter how strong one was. Even an Abyss King would die, let alone an immemorial demon. From this, it could be seen how dangerous this competition was. It was possible that all the abyssal demons participating in this competition would be wiped out. Harvest from the Abyss Forbidden Land? Xiaoping touched his chin. In fact, he had heard a lot of news and rumors about the Abyss Forbidden area from Monica. Other than the top secret information, Monica basically said everything that she could. The most popular and common treasures in the Abyss Forbidden area were God's Blood and God's Stone. The so-called God's Blood was the blood left behind by the gods after they died. This blood contained a trace of divinity and had the power of immortality. It hid a huge amount of energy. Even a drop of God's blood could bring endless benefits. It could save the abyssal demons countless years of cultivation time. It could even improve the aptitude and bloodline of the demons. After some abyssal demons obtained God's blood, they immediately improved their aptitude and advanced to the Abyss King realm. With these examples, one could imagine how precious the God's blood was. Countless demons from the Abyss would definitely covet it. Every demon would want to get their hands on it. However, God's blood could not be devoured casually. It had a strong assimilation and corrosive ability. It even contained a deadly poison. If a demon with insufficient aptitude and a weak body tried to devour God's blood, it would instantly explode from the power contained in the God's blood and explode into pieces. The so-called God's Stone was a special or that was formed under the influence of the God's power. Such God's Stone did not have the ability to improve one's aptitude like God's blood. However, it was very pure and had no poison. Each God's Stone was equivalent to a sage medicine. It was extremely precious and could increase one's spiritual power and cultivation. It could even increase or decrease one's spiritual power and increase one's understanding of the laws of the universe. The benefits were endless. From a certain perspective, the God's Stone was the treasure that these abyssal demons wanted the most. Other than God's blood and God's stone, there were also many God artifact fragments. These God artifact fragments were all fragments that were produced when countless deities battled in the previous universe era, resulting in the destruction of countless deities. Although they were fragments, each one was extremely precious. They contained the characteristics of a God artifact and possessed terrifying power. Some God artifact fragments could even surpass peerless sage artifacts. Even without special powers, just the materials of these God artifact fragments were enough to make countless demons drool. They could use these God artifact fragments to fuse into their own sage artifacts to increase the power of the sage artifacts. If used appropriately, they could probably mass-produce magic treasures with the power of peerless sage artifacts. Of course, it was not that easy to obtain God artifact fragments. They were scattered in places where gods had fallen. Such places were extremely dangerous and filled with murderous auras. Even Abyss Kings did not dare to go near casually. In fact, some Abyss Kings had relied on their strength to obtain large amounts of God artifact fragments. In the end, they were killed by the power of the fallen gods and died without a complete corpse. This also taught those Abyss Kings a lesson. Alright, there is not much time left. Let the Abyss Forbidden Area competition begin. At this moment, Grand Elder Mo Luan spoke again. With a thud, he gently poked the scepter in his hand. Instantly, the void trembled and an ancient bronze gate appeared in the distance. This was the gate that connected the Abyss and the modern universe across the entire Abyss world. Abyss Demon Gate. Abyss Demon Gate? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He did not expect to encounter the Abyss Demon Gate so soon. Moreover, this gate seemed to be one of its clones. It was specially used to suppress the restrictions of the Abyss Forbidden Area and connect it to the outside world. However, every important place in the Abyss was closely related to the Abyss Demon Gate. It was almost everywhere. Rumbled before Xiaoping could think much, the Abyss Demon Gate opened immediately and revealed a dark passageway that seemed to connect to the deepest part of the Abyss Forbidden Area. It emitted terrifying divine power. Chapter 2752. Go in. Seeing the Abyss Gate open, Grand Elder Mo Luan said, "But you can only stay in the Abyss for 3 months. After 3 months, the Abyss Gate will open again. If you don't return in time, you can only rely on your own strength to leave the Abyss. Of course, under normal circumstances, no abyssal demon can return alive." He swept an indifferent glance at all the demons present. Instantly, all the abyssal demons present couldn't help but shiver. They could all hear the chilling tone in the Grand Elder's words. In an instant, Many primordial fiendish demons didn't waste any time and immediately flew towards the abyss gate. They already knew how dangerous the abyss was. But even so, they still participated and were mentally prepared. Seeing the primordial fiendish demons move, the other demons didn't hesitate either. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In a few breaths' time, almost all the fiendish demons including Xia Ping, entered the abyss gate at the same time and crossed the void tunnel. In the next second, Xia Ping immediately felt a tyrannical void force teleporting him out. Before he could even put up any resistance, he had arrived in another space. This is the Abyss Forbidden Area. At that moment, Xia Ping felt as if he had stepped on solid red soil. As far as the eye could see, it was an endless stretch of blood-colored soil, as if it had been eroded by an endless sea of blood. Just by standing here, he felt like there were billions of corpses buried under the blood-colored soil. He didn't know how many lives had perished in this place. Such a place was also filled with a deathly stillness. There were no signs of life at all, as though it was constantly devouring life energy. And above the sky there seemed to be cracks. Countless void cracks appeared. Each void crack stretched for tens of millions of kilometers, as though it had cut the sky in half. Deep within these void cracks, whistling sounds could be heard. Violent winds howled, as though there were endless void storms about to drill out of the cracks and destroy everything. This place is very vast. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. His divine sense was extremely powerful and could cover 3 million light-years in an instant. The area it covered was simply boundless. Even so, his divine sense was unable to completely cover this forbidden area of the abyss. It could only cover a small corner of it, but it was already larger than a star field. From this, it could be seen how vast this forbidden area was. It was no wonder that these abyssal demons were unable to completely explore the forbidden area. Moreover, under the perception of his divine sense, there were countless places that could be called forbidden areas. There were many tyrannical restrictive formations covering them, and there was a terrifying power that distorted the void. If his divine sense got slightly closer, it would instantly trigger this taboo-like power, and he would be severely injured. This place was full of taboos and dangers. This place was probably even more dangerous than the demon god's relic in the Green Lotus Hell. He had no idea how many gods had fallen in this place. It seems like the other abyssal demons have been teleported elsewhere. Xia Ping sensed his surroundings and realized that besides himself, there were no other abyssal demons around. It was likely that when he was being teleported, he had randomly teleported many abyssal demons to various corners of the Forbidden Abyss. Of course, they were all teleported to the outer corners of the Forbidden Grounds. If they were teleported to the depths of the Forbidden Grounds, then it wouldn't be a grand competition anymore. They would simply want to exterminate all the abyssal demons. Roar! Just then a terrifying roar came from afar. It was like the roar of a giant abyssal beast. It caused the laws of the void to tremble. It was deafening and it made one dizzy. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, hundreds of terrifying monsters appeared in the distant void. They were completely blood-red and seemed to be formed from countless lumps of minced meat. They squirmed constantly and had noses, eyes, and ears. However, their shapes were different. Some were like tigers, some like leopards, some like octopuses, some like rhinoceroses, and so on. There were all sorts of strange shapes. However, all of these monsters exuded a terrifying murderous aura, as well as a terrifying power of resentment. This was a little similar to the abominations he had encountered in the demon god's relic. Right, these are abominations. Suddenly, Xia Ping had a flash of inspiration. He immediately recalled this matter from the top secret records of the human race. It seemed that these monsters were unique to the forbidden lands of darkness. These so-called abominations were the deathly aura, unwillingness, resentment, and rage that were condensed after the death of the gods. Coupled with the murderous aura of the universe, the power of the gods' blood, and so on, after countless years, extremely terrifying monsters were born. These abominations could be said to be indestructible. They were difficult to kill and exterminate. Even if they were beaten to the point where only a single cell was left, they would rapidly regenerate. Because of this, these abominations were the most terrifying monsters in the forbidden lands of darkness. Even demigod powerhouses would have a huge headache if they encountered these monsters. Even though ordinary abominations could not kill demigod powerhouses, they could deplete the powers within demigod powerhouses' bodies. Once their powers were depleted, they would be like turtles in a jar. If a saint below the level of a demigod were to encounter these abominations, he would probably be in grave danger. It was very likely that he would be swarmed and torn apart in an instant. He would then be completely devoured. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that these abominations were a little different from the abominations he had encountered in the past. Abominations were filled with demonic nature, and they were extremely crazy, attempting to devour everything. However, abominations were different. They were not as crazy as abominations, but they were even more terrifying. This was because they possessed terrifying corrosive and toxic properties. Once they were infected by the blood of gods, ordinary life forms would die without a doubt. They would instantly become the puppets of the abominations. They would lose their rationality and become walking corpses. Therefore, one could not be injured when fighting against them. One had to attack from afar or they would definitely die. Rumble, in an instant, the hundreds of abominations in the wilderness far away sensed the aura emitted from Xiaoping's body. They were like hunting dogs that had smelled the scent of their prey, and they immediately pounced over. Moreover, their speed was unbelievably fast. It was as if they had instantly melded into the void. Without a sound, they attacked from all directions. Ordinary demons from the abyss could not react at all. They would be killed and torn apart by these abominations in an instant. Chapter 2753. Courting Death. Seeing these abominations charging over, Xiaoping's eyes were emotionless. Back when he was weaker, he wasn't even afraid of these abominations. Now that he was at the immemorial ancient full realm and was just a step away from the immemorial ancient realm, there was even less of a need for him to fear these abominations. Moreover, in this abyss forbidden ground, there was almost no power that could spy on him. He also didn't need to unleash his powers here to let the other abyssal demons sense that something was wrong. It could be said that he could completely unleash the powers of his main body. Infernal Golden Crow Claw. Instantly, Xiaoping channeled the power of the infernal golden crow bloodline in his body and clawed towards these abominations. Boom. At this moment, the void within a radius of tens of millions of kilometers seemed to have frozen. Everything in this area was in a state of absolute stillness. Even these extremely terrifying abominations stopped for a moment. It was as though they were shackled in midair and couldn't move at all. Dong. In the next second, the claw lashed out. It was as though the claw of an immemorial mythical bird had reached out from the depths of the void. It emitted a terrifying might that suppressed the surroundings and suppressed everything. At the same time, the crimson claw emitted the terrifying power of the infernal golden crow flames. Streaks of flames burst out and seemed to have the power to incinerate the void, incinerate everything, and destroy everything. Even the abominations felt waves of fear when they felt this destructive power. It was as though when these flames touched their bodies, even their souls and laws would be incinerated into nothingness. Unfortunately, even if they felt fear, it was too late. Under such a space-time shackle, they couldn't move at all and couldn't struggle at all. Bam! The claw slammed onto the bodies of these abominations. The terrifying power instantly smashed these abominations into dust. It was like a crushing machine that crushed all matter into dust. However, these were abominations after all. Even though their bodies were smashed into dust, they were still very active. They continued to squirm in the void, and it seemed as though they could return to their original state in a single breath's time. This was one of the terrifying characteristics of abominations. They were almost indestructible. Ordinary abyssal demons couldn't kill these abominations even after expending a lot of energy. It was a pity that they met their nemesis today. The power of the infernal golden crow flames could incinerate almost everything. Even the abominations couldn't withstand the power of the infernal golden crow flames. Burn. Xiaoping gently squeezed his hand, and the infernal golden crow's power that was left on the abomination's body was instantly ignited. The enormous dark golden flames used the abomination's body as fuel and instantly burned. Ah! These abominations let out shrill screams at the same time. They were even more miserable than pigs being slaughtered. Every single cell in their bodies was being burned by the infernal golden crow's flames. In just a breath's time, these abominations that gave countless abyssal demons headaches were all burned to ashes in that instant. Not even their corpses were left. Ha! When all the abominations were killed, Xiaoping's figure flashed. His divine sense had sensed that there seemed to be something left on the abominations after he killed them. Even the hell golden crow fire could not burn these things in a short amount of time. This is a divine stone. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He immediately saw 20 to 30 fingernail-sized golden crystals lying quietly on the ground. They were hexagonal in shape and emitted a faint golden glow. At the same time he could sense wisps of divine power from these divine stones. It was even divine power that came from the gods. It was extremely pure and without any impurities. He realized that the infernal golden crow cells in his body were emitting a desire. It was as though they were attracted by the aura of these divine powers and wanted nothing more than to devour all these divine stones. Unbelievable. Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately picked up these divine stones. He scrutinized them carefully. He felt that just a fingernail-sized divine stone was comparable to the medicinal power of a sage herb. It was no wonder that the sages of the modern universe and the abyssal demons were so desperate for such a treasure. Oh my god, is this the legendary god stone? This is the first time I've seen such a treasure. Corinne also saw this scene and could not help but jump out. He looked at the divine stone in Xiaoping's hand in amazement. Even though he had lived for a long time, he had never seen a real divine stone. After all, divine stones were a special product born from the Forbidden Darkness Zone. They were basically in the hands of invincible sages. Even the ancient sages only had a few. The previous sages were too weak. How could they have seen divine stones? It's so beautiful. It said that it contains the power of the blood of the gods or a wisp of divine power. I wonder what will happen to the spirit herbs if they are used to grow them? The green ox also came out looking excited. As a grandmaster in growing spirit herbs, he immediately wanted to grind these divine stones and use them as fertilizer to grow sage herbs. What a waste of natural resources. Corinne disdainfully said, "What a bumpkin. This is a divine stone that contains divine blood or divine power. You actually want to use divine blood to grow sage herbs. Only you can think of it. I estimate that even in the previous universe era, the Age of Gods, they were not as extravagant as you. What do you know? You have never seen a divine stone. What's wrong with me using it to grow spirit herbs? Do you have any good way to make good use of divine stones?" The green ox went crazy with anger. Of course it's for me to evolve. After I swallow a lot of divine stones, maybe I can be promoted to a divine tool. Corinne said excitedly. Bullshit, even if it's used to evolve into a divine tool, it's for me to evolve the classic of mountains and seas. Giving it to you is really a waste of natural resources. The green ox chuckled. He knew that this silly cat was up to no good. It turned out that she wanted to keep it for herself. If this silly cat really evolved into a divine tool, wouldn't it be showing off in front of him all day long, showing off its prowess? Thinking of this scene, he was so angry that he couldn't sleep. What's wrong? You're not convinced? Why don't we fight? Corinne cast a sidelong glance. Let's fight. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The green ox immediately flipped out. With his violent temper, he really couldn't tolerate this silly cat for even a second. Okay, you guys go back. It seems that there are abyssal demons coming. Xiaoping's heart moved. He seemed to have sensed something. In the distance, a terrifying abyssal demon's aura was flying over. He immediately pushed back Corinne and the green ox who were planning to attack, and returned to the classic of mountains and seas world, lest these two guys cause trouble for him and let other abyssal demons discover that something was wrong. Sogu website. Chapter 2754. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In an instant, 15 immemorial realm demons flew over from afar. They seemed to have sensed the aura here and were rushing over quickly. In just an instant, they descended in front of Xiaoping, unscrupulously displaying the power of the immemorial fiendish demons. They seemed to be able to crush the sky. Well, isn't this kid Flower Devil Austin? What a coincidence to meet this kid here. An immemorial fiendish demon immediately noticed Xiaoping in front of him. What happened to Flower Devil Austin had already spread across the square and was known by countless immemorial fiendish demons. After all, Flower Devil Austin was pursued by so many powerful female immemorial fiendish demons. He even alarmed Great Elder Mo Luan to uphold justice. Now, who didn't know this kid's reputation? Therefore they immediately recognized Flower Devil Austin. I didn't expect this pretty boy to dare to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. He clearly isn't that strong. Is he here to die? An immemorial fiendish demon laughed. It didn't understand why this kid was so weak and dared to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. It was really a joke. I don't know. Maybe this kid has his own plans. He might even have a certain degree of confidence in leaving the Forbidden Abyss alive. Another immemorial fiendish demon narrowed its eyes and looked Xiaoping up and down. It seemed to be trying to find out what secret Xia Ping had to dare to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. Wait, is the thing in this kid's hand a divine stone produced in the Forbidden Abyss? At this moment, an immemorial fiendish demon immediately noticed the divine stone in Xia Ping's hand. Its eyes immediately lit up with incomparable enthusiasm and excitement. It could feel the aura and majestic energy emitted by the divine stone. The abyssal demon bloodline in its body seemed to be boiling, and it couldn't wait to immediately devour the energy of the divine stone. In fact, the energy contained in the divine stone, whether it came from the abyss, hell, or all the creatures in the universe, had a great desire for God's blood. After all, this was the desire of lower creatures for higher creatures. It originated from the instinct of life evolution. That's right, this is indeed a God's stone. I was fortunate enough to see an abyss king take out a God's stone. This is the legendary or that contains the power of the gods. It's incomparably precious, and even if you have the money you can't buy it. Basically, the Abyss Kings monopolize this resource and other demons can't get it. It can't be. How could this kid have divine stones on him? He's just a pretty boy. No matter how favored he is, it's impossible for him to be given a treasure like divine stones. I can only say that this kid's luck is extremely good, the kind that can scare people to death. He probably found a pile of God stones as soon as he came in. Other than that, there's no other explanation. Is your luck good? Now that he has met us, his luck might not be that good. That's right. If you want to obtain and possess treasures, you need strength. Without strength, even if you obtain the treasures, you won't be able to keep them. This isn't a treasure that a weak demon like him can obtain. Many primordial fiendish demons stared at Xia Ping with greed in their eyes. They wanted nothing more than to kill Xia Ping in an instant and snatch all the divine stones from him. Interesting. Are they trying to snatch the divine stones from me? Xia Ping sensed the thoughts of these primordial fiendish demons and instantly smiled. The reason why these primordial fiendish demons didn't attack immediately was probably because they were wary of each other. After all, it wasn't just one primordial fiendish demon who wanted the divine stones, but a total of 15 primordial fiendish demons. Every single one of them wanted the treasures for themselves. It was precisely because of these subtle thoughts that these primordial fiendish demons didn't choose to attack immediately. How dare they snatch our divine stones? Master, kill these demons immediately. No, it's best if you capture all of them and bring them back to the classic of mountains and seas as coolies. The green ox immediately shouted loudly. He was very angry. They actually dared to covet the treasures in their hands. This group of abyssal fiendish demons really didn't know how to write the word death. He had followed Xia Ping for such a long time. As his strength increased step by step, his vision were already different from the past. He didn't even need to care about the primordial fiendish demons anymore. Even if they encountered a super expert like the King of the Abyss, they could still escape easily if they used all their strength. They might even be able to fight for a few rounds. There's no hurry. It's just some divine stones. There should be a lot of them in this forbidden abyss. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. Thinking of this, he waved the divine stones in his hand and instantly threw them into the hands of the strongest scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon. There was no hesitation or sloppiness in his actions. Instantly, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon was a little dumbfounded. It hadn't even spoken yet, but this flower demon, Austin, had actually handed over all the divine stones on him. This was the first time in its life that it had encountered such a situation. Subconsciously, it took the divine stones with its large hands. What are you trying to do? The scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon was a little dumbfounded. Demon Commander, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. I believe that I'm weak and don't have the qualifications to obtain these divine stones. Therefore, I'm giving them all to you. I hope that you'll accept them. After all, only a powerful demon like you is qualified to monopolize all the divine stones. Other demons don't have such qualifications. Xia Ping smiled slightly, indicating that this was a gift that he was giving to the other party. At the same time, he activated the illusion domain within his body, affecting the emotions of the scarlet-haired primordial demon. Although this kind of power wasn't enough to completely cause the primordial demon to fall into the illusion, it was still enough. However, the power of this smell and the power of illusion could infinitely magnify the other party's desire. Hearing that, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon roared with laughter, pleased by the flattery. Not bad, kid. Not bad at all. You can actually tell that I'm the strongest fiendish demon here. At least you know your place. If you were one step slower, I'm afraid I would have killed you with my own hands. It clenched its fists and displayed the boundless power within its body, showing that it was indeed the strongest among this group of primordial demons. Before Xiaoping could say anything, a blue-haired primordial fiendish demon next to him narrowed his eyes and said, "Abbot, don't you think that's a little inappropriate? There are so many godstones here. Are you planning on hogging them all for yourself?" "That's right. There are so many divine stones here. With so many primordial fiendish demons here, we should split them evenly." "That's right, Albert. Did you ask us if you want to take everything for yourself? As the saying goes, everyone gets a share. There's no reason for you to get all the benefits while we don't even get a fart. What kind of joke is this?" The group of primordial fiendish demons glared at the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon with murderous intent. They had already shifted their attention to the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon, Abbot. They were completely uninterested in Xiaoping. After all, in their eyes, Xiaoping was just a weak little fiendish demon that wasn't worth mentioning. Sogu website. Chapter 2755. Under normal circumstances, the crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot might hesitate and split the divine stones evenly. However, under the control of Xiaoping's illusion domain, his greed was magnified. Coupled with the charm of the divine stones, he had lost all reason. In short, he had lost his mind. "Shut up!" The crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot bellowed. "Didn't you hear? These divine stones were given to me by this brat, and he only gave them to the strongest demon. You pieces of trash, you didn't even do anything. You want to rob me of my divine stones with just a few words? You want to split my treasures? What a joke. Do you think you're qualified? That's right. You want to snatch the treasures of other demons with just a few words? If you're so noble, why don't you split your own treasures? These guys are clearly trying to take advantage of us." Xiaoping fanned the flames. Upon hearing this, the crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot was in deep thought. He increasingly felt that these primordial demons were crazy. They clearly wanted to split his treasures, but they didn't even want to do anything. "Albert, have you forgotten about the alliance we've formed? We will split the treasures we obtain equally. Are you going back on your word?" A blue-haired primordial demon Abbot bellowed. "I'm not going back on my word. You are the ones going back on your word. We signed a contract where the more work, the more rewards. Whoever puts in more effort gets the most treasures. And now you haven't done anything. What right do you have to snatch my divine stones? What a joke. Don't push your luck." The crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot sneered. He believed that he wasn't wrong. "Abbot, since that's the case, there's no need for further discussion. You're actually going against us for divine stones. You're courting death. Don't think that you can take all the benefits just because you're slightly stronger than us. Without our help, you'll die in the forbidden abyss. You won't be able to keep these divine stones." These primordial demons were filled with killing intent. They couldn't possibly give up on these divine stones, because if they devoured even one, their strength would increase tremendously. Now that so many divine stones had been obtained by the crimson-haired primordial fiendish demon Albert, if he were to devour all of them, it would be unimaginable how strong Albert would become. Therefore, no matter what, they would absolutely not allow this fellow to monopolize the God Stone because the benefits of the God Stone were simply too great, and none of them were willing to give it up. "Fools. You want to strut around in front of me, Albert? Trash like you are far too lacking. All of you die." In an instant, the crimson-haired primordial fiendish demon Albert roared angrily. He took out a 3-zhonglong crimson spear from his body. His hair stood on end as a terrifying world domain aura erupted from his body. The scarlet spear was an abyssal treasure. Its power was no less than a high-quality saint artifact of the human race. It even possessed the demonic power and corrosive power of the abyssal world. Its destructive power was even more terrifying. Boom! In an instant, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon's spear shot out at lightning speed and instantly pierced through a primordial fiendish demon that was close to it. Ah! That primordial fiendish demon was caught off guard. He completely did not expect Albert to be so deranged. He did not even bother talking nonsense with it and directly stabbed it to death with his spear. Destructive waves erupted from the scarlet spear. Just like a god-slaying spear, the primordial fiendish demon's soul was instantly pulverized. Even its body was shaken into a lump of flesh and blood and exploded. "Albert, you actually dared to turn against us. You're courting death. You're courting death." Albert has gone completely mad. Kill this fellow. Kill him. The primordial fiendish demons were instantly enraged. How could they have expected something like this to happen? They had not been in for long, and one of their companions had already been stabbed to death. They also did not hesitate to attack. Bam, bam, bam. In an instant, the 14 primordial fiendish demons started fighting. They immediately unleashed the world domains within their bodies. One after another, world projections appeared and bombarded each other. The worlds collided violently, and the void within a radius of tens of billions of kilometers erupted with terrifying tremors. Terrifying void ripples were produced as void cracks burst out. Terrifying void storms were produced in all directions, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The ground was instantly blasted apart, and huge craters appeared one after another with loud rumbling sounds. The power of countless laws collided with each other, producing terrifying destructive power. If an ordinary sage were to be swept into the center of this storm, they would probably be torn apart by the power of laws and die without a complete corpse. Swoosh. At this moment, Xiaoping was silent. His figure flickered, and he instantly left the center of the battle. He had long stayed away from the battle between these primordial fiendish demons. And at this time, those primordial fiendish demons had long forgotten that Xiaoping was the instigator of this place. They were practically fighting with all their might, wanting nothing more than to kill each other. Have these demons completely gone mad? Seeing this scene, Corinne was a little dumbfounded. With just a few words, these primordial fiendish demons actually started fighting among themselves, and even their brains were spilling out. They're not crazy. This is the effect of the power of illusion. Xiaoping touched his chin and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. At this moment, his understanding of the power of illusion had also advanced to another level. After reaching the supreme realm of one thought to give birth to myriad worlds, his understanding of illusion had simply advanced by leaps and bounds. It seemed that he had entered a period of rapid progress. Previously, he had only manipulated the 5 and even the 6 senses, using the power to blind the 6 senses of life to confuse the lives of the various worlds in the universe, causing the other party to fall into an endless world of illusion. But at this moment he discovered that the power of illusion was not just that. In fact, it had gone one step further, and it should be the power to manipulate emotions. By magnifying the emotions of all living beings, he could easily reach the realm of manipulating life. For example, fear. Mild fear would cause people to be afraid, severe fear would cause people to flee, and extreme fear would cause people to go crazy and fall into a state of hysteria. Another example was greed. Ordinary greed would cause people to forget about danger, severe greed would cause people to forget everything, but extreme greed would cause people to disregard everything. If every emotion was magnified to the extreme, it would lead to destruction no matter what kind of life it was. The reason why such a thing happened just now was not only because Xiaoping had sowed dissension, but also because he had manipulated the emotions of these primordial fiendish demons, causing their greed to be magnified without limit. This was like a fuse that instantly made them turn against each other, and they were simply unable to resist it. They even thought that this was what they wanted to do, and never thought that they would be manipulated by someone. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2756. The Power to Control Emotions, or the Power to Control the 7 Emotions and 6 Emotions. Xiaoping seemed to be in a state of epiphany. He felt that his understanding of illusions had reached a new level. If he wanted to make illusions more realistic, he had to manipulate the emotions of the living beings in the myriad worlds. In fact, just the memories, the 5 senses, the history, and the environment were far from enough for an illusionary world. Every living being had their own emotions, be it joy, anger, sadness, jealousy, or inferiority. Every living being had a stomachache. Without mastering the power of emotions, how could he improve his illusions to the next level? At this moment he also knew how he should improve his illusions. If he wanted to improve further, he had to devour the power of emotions of many living beings. By fusing the power of emotions into the illusion, his illusion god art would reach a new level and reach an unprecedented level. Wait, is this the power of emotions or the power of emotions? Xiaoping's sea of consciousness shook vaguely. He operated the true explanation of illusions, and countless illusion runes appeared in the depths of his pupils. Through this power he seemed to sense all kinds of strong emotional powers in the depths of the void. The power of lust. These powers were illusory. Ordinary saints could not sense them and could not even devour them. However, they were everywhere and extremely huge. As long as there were living beings, there would be the power of lust. Indistinctly, colorful emotional lines appeared in the depths of the void. They were everywhere. If he wanted to improve his illusions, he had to use the lust of living beings as his foundation and feed on their emotions. Only then could his illusions reach the highest level. The power of emotions of the 14 immemorial fiendish demons was even greater. It was many times greater than that of ordinary living beings. It was almost impossible to measure it with numbers. After all, the more powerful a living being was, the more powerful the power of emotions they possessed would be. Xiaoping merely stood where he was. With his body as the center, there seemed to be a whirlpool. The omnipresent power of emotions crazily surged toward his body. In the center of his sea of consciousness, an illusion rune appeared. This was the divine ability seed condensed by the true explanation of illusions. It was the foundation of all his illusions. This illusion talisman shone with 7 colors and was filled with an illusory aura. However, if one used his divine sense to penetrate it, he would immediately perceive that there were dense and mysterious runes in the depths of this talisman. It was as if a supreme scripture was engraved on this talisman, dissecting the endless mysteries of illusions. As the immense power of emotion surged over, it was completely devoured by the illusion talisman. Meanwhile, the power of the illusion talisman was rapidly increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Vaguely, the interior of the talisman seemed to have transformed into a massive illusory world. As the power of these emotions entered it, it quickly transformed into countless lives. At this moment, the illusion talisman seemed to have transformed into an illusory world. It was as if countless false lives were being born, and they all seemed to have their own emotions. The power to devour all beings? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He suddenly thought of the legendary Lord of Hell, the god of the underworld who controlled the entire hell. In order to rule over hell, he divided the countless hellish worlds. However, these hellish worlds were not randomly divided. There was the hell of wrath, the hell of pride, the hell of greed, the hell of sloth, the hell of sigh, the hell of gluttony, and so on. Countless nether ghosts, evil spirits, demons, and so on lived in these hellish worlds. Each hellish world was filled with extreme emotions, extreme evil, and incomparably pure. From a certain point of view, this was most likely the result of the Lord of Hell using the hell power of countless nether ghosts and demons as food to forge his supreme god of the underworld body and become the strongest demon god. Dong. At this moment, Xiaoping's body trembled. He discovered that his current realm of illusions had improved. He had reached the intermediate realm of one thought to give birth to myriad worlds. He had already left the elementary realm. Previously, he could only instantly create 10 illusory worlds. But now, he could create 100 illusory worlds with a single thought. His illusions had increased tenfold. This is an illusory seed, an illusory talisman? Xiaoping's divine sense was immersed in this illusory seed. He could sense that if this illusory talisman continued to evolve, the space inside would undergo earth-shattering changes. Perhaps this illusory talisman would transform into a godhead and grasp the power of a true god. He could instinctively sense how tyrannical this ability was. It would definitely become one of his trump cards in the future. The potential of such an ability was simply unimaginable. Huh? So fast? Are these primordial fiendish demons about to die? At this moment, Xiaoping instantly broke away from this illusory comprehension. His divine sense covered the void in all directions, allowing him to see the situation around him. Although it seemed like only a moment had passed while he was comprehending, in reality, this was just his perception. Half a day had passed in the outside world. In just half a day, the 15 primordial fiendish demons fought with all their might. The area within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers collapsed and the void almost exploded. That primordial fiendish demon Albert was outnumbered. In just an hour he was beaten to death. The other primordial fiendish demons divided up his treasures and divine stones. But this was just the beginning. Later they couldn't divide the spoils evenly and internal strife broke out. They fought each other to the death. In just half a day they almost perished together. Only 3 primordial fiendish demons were left alive. The other primordial fiendish demons were killed by the other primordial fiendish demons in the internal strife. Even if there were 3 primordial fiendish demons left alive, they were seriously injured and almost at their last gasp. The illusory ability is really terrifying. When Azure Ox and Corinne saw this scene, both of them sighed with lingering fear. Just now, there were 15 primordial fiendish demons. If they wanted to deal with them, they would have to spend a lot of effort. But now, Xiaoping just used an illusory technique to arouse the emotions of these primordial fiendish demons. It actually achieved the effect of defeating 1,000 caddies with little effort. causing these primordial fiendish demons to have internal strife and kill each other. As a result, almost all of the 15 primordial fiendish demons died, leaving only 2 or 3 primordial fiendish demons. Even if Azure Ox and Corinne were experienced and knowledgeable, they were still shocked by this ability. Because this ability was not only powerful but also extremely strange. It was silent and almost difficult to detect. Even if they were plotted against, it would be difficult for other sages to know. This was the terrifying part of this ability. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.